Maybe I need to find someone who doesn't talk much, Alex McLean told his friends one day at the bar after his latest girlfriend had been linked to his business's biggest rival. Thankfully, the situation had been handled quickly mostly. There were some clients still needing reassurance, but Alex wasn't too worried. It was an unusually warm Monday in mid-November. Brian Urbana, Eric Thompson, Paulie Sutherland, and Terry Evans had joined Alex, which was unusual since he rarely invited anyone. He was usually too busy with work. Once Brian got Alex's message, he called the others, who quickly dropped what they were doing to support their friend. "All I'm saying, guys," Alex said, trying to clarify as his friends laughed at his earlier comment, "is that it might be nice to meet a girl who just listens more. You know, like, talk when asked and understand her place." "So you want someone to just serve you?" Terry asked as he took a sip of his beer. Alex shook his head. He didn't really mean it that way. He knew his words sounded harsh. He was just frustrated after a bad experience with a potential girlfriend and felt hopeless. "Most eligible bachelor in all of Chicago can't find the one." That would probably be the headline in the next magazines. "Dude, it's just recent, that's all," Brian said, setting his drink down. "You thought you really liked her, once the truth came out." "Because you discovered it," Eric added quickly. "And she showed who she really was," Brian continued, nodding at Eric for being right. "Not to mention her real reason for being around you," Paulie interjected. Brian nodded again, about to finish his thought. "It hurts now, but the right one is out there, and she will find you when you least expect it," he told Alex, holding up his hand. "In a way you wouldn't think of," he said, lowering his middle finger. "And she will steal your heart in a way you didn't know was possible," he finished, as he held down his ring finger. "Alex, I know it. She's out there." "I don't know what he's talking about," Eric smiled at Alex, pointing at Brian and shaking his head. "But I think his relationship at home is changing how he sees love these days." "Shut up, man," Brian said, playfully hitting Eric's chest. "We don't use that name for each other," he added quietly. "All right, sweetness," Paulie joked, making Brian cover his face in embarrassment. Now that Alex had mentioned Caroline in front of both Paulie and Eric, Brian felt uneasy about it since it happened the last time they were with his girlfriend. "How is Caroline?" Alex asked, trying to keep the chat moving. He smiled to himself as Brian brightened up and began sharing stories about their latest outing and a fond farewell at the end of the night. Alex thought Brian had truly found someone special, if only. Terry sighed as he took a sip of his nearly empty beer. "Man, that's tough, but maybe you're right. The girls I've been with are all about talking and sharing feelings. I mean, I'm okay with some of that, but why does she always need to know everything? Can't she read the mood? If I want to share something, I will. And if I seem upset, why does it have to be brought up every time? It doesn't always have to center around her." Speaking of which, I walked in on my sister and my girlfriend chatting about our personal life once. Can you believe that? The guys nodded as Terry spoke. He was the newest in their group, and everyone knew he wasn't looking to settle down. He just enjoyed hanging out. He had a few girls he would mention after a busy evening out if they happened to be together. Alex thought of the song Mambo No. 5, which was like Terry's contact list with a lot of names. "I don't know," Alex said. "Maybe I just can't figure out what I want. It's the holiday season. My recent experiences with women haven't been great. Plus, I have that big convention coming up in January. Finding the right person to join me isn't looking promising." "Give it some time," Brian said, patting Alex on the back. The rest of the night was spent watching the Vikings upset the local favorite Bears. It was a tough game to watch. "Going alone is just how it's going to be," Alex told Brian as they sat in the coffee shop before work. The holidays had passed, and it was just another early January Monday. The press won't be happy, other companies might complain, but what can they do? Blacklist me? "Are you sure you don't want to bring Caroline along?" Brian suggested again. "She thinks you're great. You two have known each other since I started dating her 3 months ago. She knows enough about you that she could easily pass as your date at the convention. It would mean a lot to her to dress up and spend time with." "Look, Bree," Alex interrupted his friend of over 13 years. "I appreciate it, and please let her know I would love that, but I just can't. Remember when we met at the bar and I shared my story about my last relationship? Hey, did you see? The Vikings beat the Bears. When will they get a lucky break? That's true, but that's not what I was talking about, Brian, Alex said, shaking his head. You mentioned feeling that the right person is out there for you. I'm still holding on to that hope. Plus, he sighed, if a reporter or a photographer asks us to show some affection or look at each other like that, I'd feel bad for disappointing them. I wouldn't want to make a move on your girl no matter what. She deserves better. You deserve better. I appreciate that, but it's not like she would fall for you, Brian replied. I get it. Even pretending like that would be awkward. So, you're going solo, huh? What other option do I have? Alex asked as he stood up to leave the coffee shop. Happy birthday, Alex! The four friends cheered, lifting their glasses in celebration on that Friday afternoon. It's not until Monday, but thanks, everyone, Alex responded, finally raising his beer to join them. They all took big sips and set their glasses back on the table with satisfied sighs. So, want to hear what we got you? Terry asked with excitement. Alex found it a bit strange. Terry was usually more of an observer, rarely this lively, plus it was surprising for the guys to give him a gift since he seemed to have everything he needed. What do you mean? Alex asked, shaking his head. The guys had never given him presents. Brian had occasionally done something nice, usually with encouragement from his mom when they were younger, but as a group, never. Well, we were discussing how to celebrate your birthday, Brian said hesitantly. Alex could sense the awkwardness in his voice. When Paulie jokingly suggested we check local hospitals for anyone who might be a good match for the event next week, just in case there were any girls who might want to join you, Terry continued, filling in the silence. Unfortunately, it didn't go as planned. No girls showed up that night, so that idea got tossed out. What? Alex exclaimed. Just kidding, Terry replied with laughter, giving Alex a friendly pat on the back. Actually, I was chatting with a friend who knows a guy with a sister. Oh, come on, Alex said, shaking his head and rolling his eyes. Who has a sister whose cousin twice removed? He laughed. What are you trying to say? I'm not bringing some random person to the convention and pretending she's my girlfriend. I can't just meet someone now, feel a little spark, and then put her through all the media fuss because everyone thinks I should have a date. I've made up my mind to go alone, and that's that. Just then, a new customer walked into the bar as Alex finished speaking. The wind and snow seemed stronger now as they came in, bringing a chill with them. One person went to the bar while the other headed to the back. Alex quickly checked his weather app and frowned. He had seen reports of a storm approaching Chicago. That morning, he received an email from the convention committee saying they would decide by 7 p.m. whether to cancel the event or go ahead. It was only 2 p.m. and there was still no word. A cancellation would solve his main problem along with this idea that he even needed a date. Besides, Alex said as he put his phone down, there are still 5 hours left for the committee to call off the event and solve my troubles. I know you guys wouldn't get me a date for my birthday, but I appreciate the joke. I really don't need a date, especially one who could cause trouble like the last one did. But I'm feeling nice. So go ahead and tell me what you claim to have gotten me, even though I really just needed this gathering today. But just hear us out, Terry said, putting up his hands. Like I mentioned, I know this guy whose sister has a health issue. Alex frowned, not really buying the pitch. She's been out of work and dealing with medical bills. She needs some help, Eric added. Alex raised an eyebrow in surprise, and it grew even more when his best friend Brian joined in. But she's never done this kind of work before, so you'd be her first date, or client, Brian said, trying to help his friend feel more comfortable with the idea. Alex was not at all happy with the suggestion. Honestly, he wasn't even really thinking about it, as much as he was about going to Mars. But since Brian seemed to support it, he found himself considering it, especially if the girl needed money and hadn't. Wait, was he actually thinking about it? Look, it's on us, Terry said, trying to persuade him further. There's no payment involved, so you won't be in trouble later. When I told my friend what you said after he got into an argument with his girlfriend, he told me about this girl. She's here now. She's here? Alex said, his eyes widening. Did the guys really mean it? Yeah, but listen, Terry added, wanting all the credit for the idea. Like we said, she's new and shy. She isn't going to approach you. Right now, she can't speak, but the doctors think she will get her voice back soon. So why not take this chance? You can't be serious, Alex said again. Totally serious, Terry insisted. Just go up to her like you would with anyone else you find interesting. She's already prepared for this. Alex rolled his eyes. I mean, she's been paid. She's not going to say no. She's all set through Wednesday. You could take her shopping for clothes or show her around. Who knows? Who knows? What? Alex asked, confused. Alex, who knows what could happen? Brian said with a sigh. I know it sounds strange, but just take the chance to meet her. She's sitting at the bar waiting for this. Go introduce yourself. Make some small talk. Since she can't say much, I guess she'll respond by nodding or maybe using a notepad. Really, Bree? Alex asked quietly. He was genuinely looking for Brian's opinion. Why would Brian put him in this situation unless he thought it could work? Brian nodded, and that made Alex sigh. And if the whole event ends early and you want to stop meeting her, you can tell her you don't need her anymore, Paulie said, taking a bite of his pretzel. But remember, she's shy and embarrassed about being in this situation, Terry explained. She had to resort to this to pay her medical bills. I guess not being able to talk isn't helping her either. Alex raised an eyebrow at that. Don't bring up the escort thing with her. Just talk to her like you'd chat with someone at a bar. Alex glanced at Brian, who was looking up at the weather report on TV. Brian knew Alex well enough to recognize that he didn't talk to women at bars or anywhere else for that matter. He couldn't believe he was about to say what came next. So, where is this girl? Alex asked, watching as Terry pointed to the bar. There was a girl sitting alone with shoulder-length brown hair, turned away from their table, watching the TV above the drinks. From where Alex was, he couldn't see enough to describe her clearly. Hey, you can't say we didn't put thought into this, right? Eric teased as he smiled at Alex. Who knows, maybe this will change your life. And maybe it'll just be a disaster for me, Alex joked, standing up. Thanks for the encouragement, guys. Wait, don't go, Terry protested, but he fell silent when he saw Alex walk toward the bar. All right, go for it, man. Hi, Alex said as he stood next to the girl still focused on the weather report. She looked worried. When she turned to him, he took a quick breath. Wow, she was really pretty. She wasn't dressed up like he had seen in movies. She wore a nice top and regular jeans. She had little makeup on, if any, and some of her hair was pulled back. She offered him a curious smile. Is this seat taken? He asked, and she gestured for him to sit. Alex placed his coat on the empty stool since the bar was quite empty. He sat down and looked into her eyes. Not to be cheesy or anything, but do you come here often? He asked, cringing at his own words. Could he be any worse at talking to women? She picked up a pen and a pad and quickly wrote, First time. Alex tilted his head and made eye contact with her. He pointed at her note with a puzzled expression, and she wrote back, Lost voice. That's too bad, Alex said, nodding. I'm Alex. She paused for a moment, then wrote her name, Anna. She quickly added the pronunciation, /a/na/. Anna? Alex repeated. That's nice. Are you from around here? Anna nodded and wrote, Moved from the suburbs 4.5 years ago. Great, Alex replied cheerfully. He raised his hand to get the bartender's attention. Would you like another drink? What are you having? She wrote. Diet Coke, but I'm fine. Thank you. Did you pay your bill? Alex asked as he settled back on the bar stool. Anna nodded. Okay then. Ted, the bartender, walked over and nodded at Alex. Hey, Alex, what do you want? He glanced at Anna and then back at Alex, raising his eyebrows in curiosity. The lady is good for her drink, so I'll just have a Coke, Alex replied. Maybe I should find someone who doesn't talk so much, Alex McLean joked with his friends one day at the bar. His last girlfriend had turned out to be connected to his biggest business rival. Luckily, things had been mostly resolved, but there were still some clients who needed reassurance, and Alex was not too worried about them. It was a warm Monday in mid-November. Brian, Eric, Paulie, and Terry came to meet Alex at his invitation, which was unusual because he rarely asked anyone to join him. He was usually busy with work. When Brian received Alex's text, he called the other three, and they quickly dropped their plans to be with their friend. All I'm saying, guys, Alex started trying to explain as his friends laughed at his earlier comment, is that it would be nice to meet a girl who didn't talk so much. You know, someone who knows when to speak and when to listen. So, you want someone to serve you? Terry asked, raising his beer. Alex shook his head. He hadn't really meant it that way. It sounded harsh, even to him. He was just feeling frustrated after his last experience with a possible girlfriend. Most eligible bachelor in all of Chicago can't find the one, he thought, knowing that would probably be the headline in magazines. Dude, it's still new, that's all, Brian said, putting his drink down. You thought you liked her, but when the truth came out... Because you found out what she was really like, Eric pointed out quickly. And she showed who she really was, Brian agreed, nodding at Eric. And the real reason she was interested in you, Paulie added. Brian nodded again and continued. It hurts now, but the right person is out there. She will show up when you least expect it, he said while counting on his fingers. She might be someone you wouldn't think of, he continued, lowering one finger, and she will touch your heart in a way you never imagined, he concluded, holding down another finger. Alex, I'm telling you, she's out there. I can feel it. I don't understand what this guy is talking about, Eric said to Alex with a smile. He pointed at Brian and shook his head. But I think his crush at home is changing how he thinks about love these days. Come on, man, Brian replied, lightly pushing Eric's shoulder. We don't use that name, he said quietly. Okay, buddy, Paulie jumped in, making Brian cover his face with his hand. That name had come up the last time they had all been with Brian's girlfriend, and he felt embarrassed. How is Caroline? Alex asked, trying to change the subject. He smiled as Brian brightened up and started talking about their recent date and how nice it was to say goodbye at the end of the night. Alex thought Brian might have found someone special. If only. Terry sighed as he raised his nearly empty beer glass. It's a drag that it happened, but maybe you have a point. The only girls I've been around are all about talking and sharing feelings. I mean, I'm okay with that sometimes, but does she have to know everything? Can't she sense how I feel sometimes? If I'm upset, does it always have to be discussed? And no, it shouldn't always be about her. Plus, one time I walked in on my sister and a girl I was dating talking about our private life. What in the world? The guys nodded as Terry spoke. Terry was the newest friend in their group. They all knew he wasn't serious about dating. He just liked to have fun. He had a few girls he would call when he wanted to hang out. He would mention their names after a night out if they were all together. Alex thought of the song Mambo No. 5 Inches that lists many girls' names, kind of like Terry's contacts. I don't know, Alex said, thinking it over. Maybe I just don't know what I want. It's the holiday season. My last few times with women haven't gone well, and there's that big convention coming up in January. Finding the right woman to join me isn't looking good. Give it some time, Brian encouraged, patting his best friend's back. They spent the rest of the evening watching the Vikings shock everyone by beating the town's favorite team, the Bears. What a disappointing game. Going alone might just be how it is, Alex told Brian while they sat together in the coffee shop before work. The holidays were over, and it was just another early January Monday. The press won't like it. The other companies won't like it, but what can they do? Put me on a list. Are you really sure you don't want to take Caroline with you? Brian asked again. She thinks you're great, and you've known each other since I started dating her 3 months ago. She knows just enough about you to seem like your girlfriend during the convention. It would mean a lot to her to dress up and spend some time together. Look, Bree, Alex cut in, speaking to his best friend of over 13 years. I really appreciate the offer, and please tell her that I would love to do it, but I can't. Remember the last time we met at the bar? I shared about my last relationship and how it didn't go well? Yeah, but the Vikings won against the Bears. They finally caught a break, Brian pointed out. True, but that's not what I meant, Alex replied, shaking his head. You told me before that the right person is out there. I'm being patient. Plus, he sighed, if a reporter or a photographer showed up and wanted us to act like we were really into each other, I wouldn't want to hurt her feelings. I wouldn't kiss your girl no matter the pressure. That would feel unfair to her. And you deserve better, too. I get what you're saying, but it's not like she would really fall for you, Brian argued. I understand. Even pretending like that could be awkward. So, you're going to go solo? What other choice do I have? Alex replied, getting up to leave the coffee shop. Happy birthday, Alex! The four friends cheered, raising their glasses in the early afternoon on Friday, January 22nd. It's not until Monday, but thanks, everyone, Alex said, finally lifting his beer to join the toast. They all took hearty drinks and set their glasses down with big sighs of relief. So, do you want to know what we got you? Terry asked excitedly. Alex found it strange. Terry was usually quiet, and he rarely talked much beyond sharing opinions about sports or making comments about women. What do you mean? Alex asked, shaking his head. The friends had never given him gifts. Sure, Brian might have occasionally been encouraged to do something nice, but as a group, that had never happened before. Well, we were talking about how to celebrate your birthday, Brian explained slowly. Alex noticed a bit of awkwardness in Brian's voice, but he couldn't quite figure it out. When Paulie jokingly suggested that maybe since you haven't found the right girl for the convention next week, we should check out the emergency rooms, Terry continued, seeing that Brian had paused too long, to see if there are any girls with laryngitis who might want to dress up and join you for the event. Alex stared at his friend, surprised. Sadly, there were no cases that night, so that idea was dropped. What? Alex exclaimed. Just kidding? Terry laughed loudly. I'm just messing with you, he said while patting Alex's back. But seriously, I talked to a friend who knows a guy whose sister. Oh, come on, Alex protested, shaking his head and rolling his eyes. Who has a sister whose cousin twice removed on her mother's side? He mocked. What are you getting at? I'm not taking some random girl to the convention and pretending she's my girlfriend. I can't just meet someone and expect everything to go smoothly with photographers and interviews. I've decided to go solo, and that's final. A new patron entered the bar just as Alex finished speaking. The wind and snow seemed to have picked up since the guys had settled at their table. A chill swept through as one person walked to the bar and another headed to the back. Alex quickly checked his weather app and frowned. He had seen reports about a storm coming their way in Chicago. That morning, the convention committee sent a cautious email saying they would decide by 7 p.m. whether to cancel the event. It was only 2 p.m. and still no update. Wouldn't it be helpful if they canceled? That might solve his biggest problem and this silly idea that he needed a date. Besides, Alex said as he set his phone back down, there are still 5 hours left for the committee to cancel this whole thing and solve my issues. I know you guys wouldn't get me a girl for my birthday, but I appreciate the thought. I really don't need a date, especially one who could cause drama like the last one did. I'll let you share what you think you have for me, even though I don't think anything other than this gathering today was really needed to show me. But just listen to us, Terry interrupted, raising his hands. I know a guy whose sister is having a tough time with her voice because of long-term laryngitis. Alex shook his head. Was he really trying to pitch this idea? The girl, well, she lost her job, and with her medical bills, she is having a hard time. She's in a difficult situation, Eric added. Alex was surprised, and even more so when his best friend Brian spoke up. But she's never done this before, so you would be her first client, Brian said, trying to make it sound better. Alex was really turned off by this suggestion. He wasn't even thinking about this as anything more than a wild idea, but the fact that Brian supported it made him think, especially if the girl needed help. Wait, was he actually considering it? Look, it's on us, Terry said, trying to persuade him further. There's no money involved, so it won't come back to you, you know? When I told my friend about what you thought after he had an argument with someone, he mentioned this girl. She's here now. She's here? Alex asked, his eyes wide in disbelief. Were they serious? Yeah, now listen, Terry continued, clearly proud of his idea. Like we said, she's new at this. She's not going to approach you. She might be shy and can't talk right now. The doctors say that she will get her voice back eventually. But how about taking this chance? You can't be serious, Alex said again. Totally serious, Terry insisted. Just go up to her like you would anyone else you find interesting. She's already been paid. She's not going to say no to this chance. She's all set until Wednesday. You could take her shopping for some clothes or go out together. Who knows? Who knows? What? Alex asked, confused. Alex, who knows what could happen? Brian added with a sigh. I know it sounds crazy, but at least meet her. She's sitting at the bar waiting for this. Introduce yourself, make small talk. Since she can't say much, she'll probably just nod or use a notepad. Really, Bree? Alex asked quietly. he was really looking for Brian's advice. He wondered why Brian would place him in this situation unless he genuinely believed it could work. Brian nodded, which made Alex sigh. And if the whole event gets canceled and you don't want to spend more time with her, you can just tell her you don't need her anymore and send her on her way, Polly suggested, munching on a piece of pretzel. But listen, she's shy and feels awkward about this situation, Terry explained. You know, having to take this route to gather enough money for her medical bills and all. I guess the silence doesn't make things easier for anyone, right? Alex raised an eyebrow. Don't mention the other thing to her. Don't make it uncomfortable. Just talk to her like you would any girl at a cafe. Alex glanced at Brian, who used the moment to look at the TV that was showing the weather. Brian knew Alex very well and knew he wasn't the type to approach anyone in cafes, or anywhere else for that matter. Alex couldn't believe he was about to ask what came next. So where is this girl? Alex asked, watching as Terry pointed to the bar. A lone girl with shoulder-length brown hair was facing away from them, watching the TV above the drinks. From where he was sitting, he couldn't get more than a very vague view of her. Come on. We put a lot of thought into this, right? Eric said with a grin. Who knows? Maybe this will change everything for you. Or maybe it'll be my undoing, Alex joked as he stood up. Thanks for the support, guys. Wait! Don't go! Terry protested but fell silent as he watched Alex walk toward the bar. Oh, fine, go for it, man. Hi, Alex said as he stood beside the girl who was still focused on the weather report. He noticed she looked worried. When she turned to him, he breathed in sharply. Wow, she was. Lovely. She wasn't dressed in anything fancy. She wore a nice top and jeans. She didn't have much makeup on, if any, and part of her hair was pulled back to keep it away from her face. The girl gave him a curious smile. Is this seat taken? He asked. She pointed to it invitingly. Alex placed his coat on the empty stool next to him since the bar was quite empty at that hour. He then sat down and made eye contact with her. Not to sound cheesy, but do you come here often? He asked, almost regretting his words. Was he really this awkward? The girl picked up her pen and notepad and quickly wrote, First time. Alex tilted his head and made eye contact with her. He simply pointed at the pad and shrugged, asking a silent question. Lost voice, was her response written down. That's too bad, Alex said and nodded. Well, I'm Alex. The girl paused for a moment before writing down her name. Anna, she wrote, then quickly added how to say it. /Anna/. Anna, Alex repeated. Oh, that's nice. Are you from around here? Anna nodded and wrote, Moved from the suburbs 4.5 years ago. Okay, Alex said with a smile, then raised his hand to the bartender and asked, Would you like another drink? What are you having? She wrote, Diet Coke, but I'm fine, thank you. Did you settle your tab? Alex asked as he shifted back on the bar stool. Anna nodded. Great. Ted, the bartender, approached and nodded to Alex. Hey, Alex, what do you want? He looked at Anna and raised his eyebrows, asking silently. Looks like the lady is good with her drink, so I'll just have a Coke, Alex replied. As expected, the bar wasn't very busy because of the storm outside. Alex quickly asked for a booth for two and smiled when they said it would be just a minute. He turned to Anna and, without thinking, reached out to gently touch her cheek with his thumb. Did you enjoy yourself today? Anna seemed to blush and nodded, looking down. Alex hesitantly pulled his hand back and focused on the hostess when she came to guide them to their table. Once seated, Anna took out her paper and pen and wrote a bit more than usual. I can't thank you enough for everything today. Will the clothes be donated after the convention? Alex read her note and looked confused. No, Anna, he said slowly. They're yours to keep. It's the least I can do for all you're doing for the convention. And the convention is still happening even with the storm, she wrote. As he read her question, Alex tilted his head, wondering the same thing. Oh, I haven't checked my email since the bar. Let me look now. Sure enough, at 4:43 p.m., he found an apologetic email saying the convention had been canceled. Alex smiled with relief. Oh, thank goodness! I was worried about it more than I thought. But then another thought bothered him. Oh, listen to this, Alex said, shaking his head. The convention isn't happening after all. Well, that's something, he added with a laugh. Looks like we'll need to find some other events to go to later this year. To Alex's surprise, Anna looked upset. Anna, what's wrong? She wrote on the pad, So many clothes you paid for. I can't pay you back. I shouldn't have let you do this. I'm really sorry. To make things worse, she started to cry. Alex quickly got up and moved to sit beside her. Anna, it's okay. You don't have to feel bad. I knew you felt uneasy about it from the start, but I was happy to help. I wanted you to have that experience. And those clothes? They looked amazing on you, and I'm sure the dresses will look fantastic. I might not have seen them on you, but I can imagine. Alex gently wiped away a tear from her cheek. Please don't cry. Just because the event isn't happening doesn't mean we can't create our own fun. Anna looked at him confused. Listen, Alex said, relieved she had stopped crying and was listening to him. He couldn't stand seeing people upset. What if you stayed with me anyway? We could spend some time together. We can go shopping after dinner and get all sorts of food to enjoy while we wait out the snow. We can talk, or I can talk, and you can write down anything you'd like to share. We can learn about each other, and you'll have all kinds of clothes to choose from. He chuckled, realizing he was talking too much. I'm sorry. Anna turned her small notepad around to write a message. She wiped her eyes and passed the note to him. Do you really want that? To get to know me? I mean, why? I was just sitting there. What made you want to talk to me? Alex stared at her after reading the note. What was going on? He remembered what his friends had said about her, but he was confused by her question. Before he could answer, he recalled the warning. Don't bring up the escort thing. Don't make it awkward. But why would she ask that? Yes, I really want to get to know you, Anna, Alex said, deciding to ignore the comments his friends had made. He didn't know exactly why he felt this way, but he was drawn to her, and he wanted to see where it could go. I'm glad I chose to sit next to you. The real question is, do you want to get to know me? Alex took a deep breath. If you say no, I'll drop it, take you home, and those clothes are still yours. He reached for her hand and gently rubbed her knuckles. If you say yes, I just ask for honesty. If we're going to get to know each other, please be truthful with me. No matter how hard it is, honesty is very important. And if at any point this weekend you feel like you don't want to be around me anymore, please tell me. I'll make sure you get home safely. Is that fair? Anna thought carefully about everything Alex had just said to her. She seemed to be deciding if this was a good idea or not. Who wouldn't wonder about spending time alone with a guy they just met at a bar? He had bought her new clothes for an event that was called off, and now he wanted them to spend days together if the weather turned bad. Slowly, Anna pulled out her notepad and wrote something down. After finishing, she pushed it to him so he could read it. Do you have cable? Alex read her note twice to make sure he understood it. She looked so innocent, and he found it hard not to smile. The whole situation suddenly became funny to him, and he burst out laughing, which made her jump a little. Excuse me, everyone, he said softly, as if he were announcing to the whole restaurant. The lady wants cable, and the lady shall have all the cable she desires. Now let's get back to dinner. Anna giggled at his silliness. He took her hand and then returned to his seat in the booth. Sometimes he would forget that she couldn't speak and would ask her questions. Every time, Anna would simply write down her answers without showing any impatience. She seemed happy to share with him. After drinks and a nice meal, they were both full and getting ready to brave the cold outside. Out of the blue, Anna jumped up excitedly and reached for Alex. She mimicked taking a picture with her fingers, then pointed at him and then at herself. She mouthed, "Can we take a picture before we leave?" Alex smiled and nodded in agreement. Just then, a server walked by. The restaurant was quite calm, so the servers were moving about looking for tasks. Alex turned to the server and asked if he could take a picture of them standing by their table before they put on their coats. Alex pulled Anna close to him and they smiled for the photo. "Thank you," Alex said, handing the server a folded bill. The server's face brightened as he nodded and walked away. Once they had their coats on, Alex pointed toward the door. "Let's go buy some food so we can cook simple meals in case the weather keeps us stuck inside." Alex took her to a nearby store where he knew they could gather enough supplies for several days. He pointed down the aisles and encouraged her to choose anything she liked. "Don't forget to grab some toiletries, too," he reminded her with a smile. Whatever she wanted, she was welcome to have. The look of relief on her face made him smile. He guessed she hadn't really considered it. If he hadn't seen something that caught his eye, he might not have thought of it either. Maybe she thought he did this all the time. Meeting someone at the bar, taking her shopping and bringing her home. That had never happened before. He wanted her to feel special, not in a showy way, but in a way that showed her his feelings were genuine. This was a first for him. He watched her as she moved through the aisles, picking out personal items and then moving to the food section. What was it about her? Why did he want to be with her so much? Had he been alone for too long? Was it her innocence that attracted him? Did he appreciate that she didn't seem to spend money carelessly? That thoughtful side of her was refreshing. Some people assumed he was all about luxury because of his money, and that idea bothered him. Or was it that she seemed shy? Did she feel the need to struggle to make ends meet? The fact that, according to others, Alex was her first made him feel a bit better. He had a feeling she hadn't been with anyone before. She seemed so genuine. She wasn't dressed in revealing clothes and didn't wear makeup. To him, she didn't need any. He was relieved the convention had been canceled. He hadn't thought to ask for any makeup to go with her formal dress. No need to worry about that now. Soon they were checking out and walking down the street to his place. He felt happy. "Home, sweet home," he joked as they stepped into his large apartment and turned on the lights. They placed the food bags on the table so he could help her out of her coat before they hung it up in the closet. He noticed all the bags of her items were in the small room next to his bedroom, which had been meant to be a walk-in closet. He put the food away in the kitchen while she explored the cabinets, fridge, and oven. Anna pulled out a notepad from her pocket and quickly wrote something down. Her note said, "This is amazing. Can I cook some meals over the next few days?" Alex had just finished putting the last item in the fridge when he saw the notepad being handed to him. After he read it, he smiled. Could she be any more wonderful? She was full of surprises. "Yes, you definitely can. I wish I had known earlier. I would have had you pick up more of the things you wanted to make." "Do you like to cook?" "Love it," she quickly wrote back. "Let's see what we can do with what we have while the storm is here. Then we can go get some more food for you to work with," Alex suggested. "Think you can manage with what we have for 2 or 3 more days?" Anna nodded happily. "Good. Come on, let's relax in the living room before we go to bed." As they sat on the couch, Alex wondered how things would go. Did she always need to write things down? What kind of help would it take for her to talk again? He wanted to hear her voice. He loved seeing her smile and wondered what her laugh sounded like. "Anna, do you type? Do you like typing? Or would you rather write?" "I prefer to type, it's faster," she wrote on her notepad. As he got up, Alex said, "I have an idea, just a moment." He walked into the small bedroom and stopped when he saw how much space the clothes were taking. He chuckled to himself. Note to self, find pajamas for her to wear tonight. We can put all these clothes away in the empty dresser. We'll deal with the dresses later. He then found an old laptop he had stored in a corner and was pleased to see it was fully charged. Returning to the room, he found Anna looking out the window at the falling snow. He was glad he had stayed quiet. He wanted to watch her. He set the laptop down and took out his phone to snap a picture. She looked beautiful, innocent, and captivating. Not wanting to startle her, he cleared his throat. "Hey, I have this old laptop. Maybe we could open a simple program and just type back and forth a little. Does that sound good?" Anna nodded and took the laptop. She looked at the screen and noticed he had typed something. She let out a silent laugh and quickly clicked on a few tabs before showing it to him. The screen read, "What is your favorite font?" He had changed the words to different fonts for fun. "I will type in this font. Is that okay? I like how you asked. You made me laugh." "That's my goal this weekend," Alex admitted. "Maybe I'll even hear some sounds from you. Mostly, though, I want us to get to know each other. Is that cool? Want to start now, or are you too tired?" Anna nodded along and pointed down, mouthing, "Now." "So, like I said at the restaurant, my biggest pet peeve is dishonesty. If I ask you something and you don't feel comfortable answering, please let me know. I will respect that. But if you do answer me, please be honest, even if it's a tough question." Anna nodded. "I have to be honest, Anna. I'm glad this happened. I'm glad the convention got canceled, even though I was really looking forward to seeing you all dressed up." I guess I'll just have to keep you around so I can see that someday. For now, I'm excited to spend the next few days with you doing anything else. What a long first date, right? Anna smiled at him and nodded. I'm glad I met you too, Alex, she typed and nodded at him. So, what do you want to know? Everything, Alex said sincerely, then sighed. Want to start with the basics? Anna nodded and got comfortable. Some answers were going to need more typing, so she found a good position and looked at him, encouraging him to start. Age, he said simply. How old are you? Anna sighed. Alex felt a little nervous as she paused to type. After a moment, she turned the screen to face him so he could read it. Today is my golden birthday. Alex read her message, then read it again. No way. Anna, why didn't you tell me? First, she typed, taking a moment to think. I haven't had a birthday celebrated in years. No one wished me anything today. You get used to it. Second, what was I supposed to say? But you treated me to the best birthday present when you sat by me at that bar, offered to spend the next few days with me, and took me shopping. It was the best birthday I've ever had, and it meant so much. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for making me feel special for the first time in so long. Anna paused and then covered her face. She typed one more thing. I hope my answers don't seem too strange. Sorry. Alex read her words, shook his head, and then set the laptop down. He took out his phone and typed something, huffing a bit, and then let out a breath of relief. There. Can you stand up, please? Anna stood up and smiled as Alex took her hand, pulling her into a dance pose. Happy birthday, sang Johnny Maestro. Happy birthday, baby. Oh, I love you so. Will you dance with me? Do you like to dance? I feel like I want to share so many feelings right now, and when I feel like that, holding you feels right. People dance to celebrate, right? Anna nodded and held onto his arm with her other hand. Soon they were moving around the room, slowly and smoothly. He was leading and she was following effortlessly. This was no middle school dance, that's for sure. As the new song started, Anna looked up at Alex with a curious expression. I took some dance lessons in high school because my mom wanted me to dance better than just moving my feet a little. So I started lessons in my second year and ended up really liking it. I got better and kept taking lessons for the next 2 years. Anna smiled and nodded. That's great, she mouthed, smiling again as he twirled her around. After a few more songs, Anna looked up at him and pointed to his chest. How old are you? She mouthed. Oh, right. It goes both ways. I turned 23 on Monday. Anna looked into his eyes and shook her head. What? You don't believe me? Need to see my ID? Anna shook her head and pointed at the couch. Ready to sit again? Okay. Once they were comfortable, she typed her next question. What's your favorite kind of cake? Can I say dessert instead? I really like chocolate chip cookies. They're my favorite. I prefer white cake with vanilla frosting. I don't like whipped cream frosting. I enjoy something sweet, Anna said as she laughed quietly at her answer while Alex read it. He smiled and nodded in agreement. Oh, I feel the same. I'm not really a fan of chocolate or fancy cakes. I usually skip dessert at parties. Are you asking because you're planning to bake something for my birthday on Monday? Anna smiled bashfully. Yes, chocolate chip cookies and milk sound great, maybe in front of the fireplace with some music. Does that sound good? Anna smiled widely and began typing. A gift for someone who has done so much for me? Yes, I would love to. Thank you for allowing me to give you something you'll really enjoy. She paused before writing again. What's your favorite meal? My favorite meal? I love homemade spaghetti with meat sauce. When you add a salad with creamy Italian dressing and cheesy breadsticks, it's perfect. Anna giggled as he kissed the tips of his fingers and waved them in the air for drama. Oh, and I make a really good chicken noodle soup. I've known how to make it for a long time. I often bring it to work and people really like it. That sounds delicious. I would love to try it. I can definitely make that meal for you on Monday. My favorite dish to cook is goulash. It's comfort food and everyone loves it. It's even easier when I can use ingredients I already have or find some cheap at the store. In fact, I bought things to make it this weekend. I hope you'll enjoy it. And what do I love to eat? Pizza with toppings like pepperoni, sausage, mushrooms, onions, green peppers, and extra cheese. Oh, and a nice addition one that I don't have to make. Nothing like a pizza oven for that delicious treat. Anna added her own playful touch once Alex finished reading her answer by rubbing her belly and pretending to say, "Yum." Alex could not help but laugh. Before long, Alex reached over, turned off the music, and pointed to the laptop. "Want to close it down? Let's go to bed. I'm tired. We can learn more about each other tomorrow, and Sunday, and Monday." Alex felt happy when he saw Anna quickly saved her work and properly shut down the laptop before placing it on the end table next to her. He disliked it when people just slammed the lid down. She then took the notepad from the coffee table, set it down neatly, and placed the pen at an angle on top of it. When she looked up at him, he was smiling. She smiled back and held out her hand, letting him guide her into his room. "All your things are here. You just need your pajamas. Tomorrow we can put them away in the empty dresser over there. I think everything will fit, except for the fancy dresses. Those can hang in my closet later." Alex watched Anna search through her stuff until she found her clothes. She then went into the bathroom and closed the door quietly. Next up, sleeping side by side. He had a king-size bed and usually slept on the side closest to the door. That made sense. He just needed to change into his shorts, so he quickly took off his jeans and switched to the shorts before taking off his shirt and socks. Anna came out of the bathroom and walked up to Alex. He paused, curious about what she would do. To his surprise, she wrapped her arms around him. Soon her lips were close to his ear. "Thanks," she whispered. He felt a gentle kiss on his cheek, and then she spoke softly again. "So much," before she pulled back. Well, she was full of surprises. Alex cleared his throat and pointed to the side of the bed where she could settle in. He turned off the light and found his side of the bed. They ended up facing each other. Now what? Trusting his instincts, Alex reached between their pillows and watched for her reaction. Anna slipped her hand into his. "Good night, Anna. Sleep well." He could just make out her face in the dim light. She squeezed his hand, and he thought he saw her lips move. He believed she wished him good night, too. In the early morning, Alex woke up to find Anna curled up next to him, her head resting against his chest and arm. He smiled at her sleeping face. Alex was used to sleeping alone and actually liked it that way. But last night he had slept peacefully with Anna close to him. He wondered when things had changed for him. Just as he leaned down to kiss the top of her head, she started to move, making him stop. Before he could greet her, she shifted a bit, froze for a moment, and then jumped, trying to pull away. Alex gently hugged her, speaking softly. "Hey, it's okay, Anna. I was surprised too, but I feel comfortable. Are you all right?" Anna paused and took her time to find her place beside him again. Soon, she relaxed again, surprising him when she turned just enough to rest her hand on his chest. He liked that. They both took a deep breath and sighed, then shared a quiet laugh before drifting back to sleep. Alex placed his hand on hers and closed his eyes, smiling. A couple of hours later, Alex woke up needing to go to the bathroom. He carefully got out of bed, trying not to wake Anna. After using the bathroom, brushing his teeth, and fixing his hair, he returned to find Anna sitting on the edge of the bed. "Good morning," Alex said cheerfully. "How are you feeling?" Anna yawned and shrugged. "Not a morning person?" She nodded, looking for her notepad but realizing it wasn't there. "I'll let you get ready while I start some coffee. Does that sound good? Do you drink it?" Anna stood up and headed to the bathroom, nodding and giving his arm a light touch before disappearing behind the door. Alex grabbed a shirt and went to the living room. Spotting the notepad, he picked it up along with the laptop and returned to the bedroom. He opened the notepad to a blank page and began to write before setting it on the laptop. "Hey, take a shower, find some comfy clothes, no need to go anywhere today, and meet me in the kitchen. I'll make breakfast. You can share what you want to discuss from lunch onward. Meanwhile, please write what you would have said about being a morning person. Also, tell me what you'd like to do today, if anything. Let me know where we should start with more questions to get to know each other. I enjoy talking to you, but I feel like I'm missing out on hearing what you'd normally say if you could. You have clothes and personal items for the week, and we can always get more if needed. Let's weather this storm, and then we'll work on your voice." Alex had a unique way of signing his initials to ensure that no one could copy it, showing that he had taken the time to read what he was approving. Besides that, he had made sure that no one knew his middle name because he wanted to keep it private. Feeling pleased with himself, he left the items on the bed and went to make some coffee. He was also excited to see what she would write for him. No matter how unusual this whole situation was, from picking her up at the bar to going shopping, to hardly checking his phone, to wanting to make her happy even though she didn't speak much, and even cuddling as they slept, he ignored the questions about how different this was from the serious and lonely person he usually was. About an hour later, Anna walked into the kitchen casually dressed, with nothing in her hands. Alex tilted his head and asked, "Where's the laptop?" Anna pointed toward the living room. She then gestured to the coffee. "Yes, help yourself, and please eat too. I hope you like it. I'll be back soon. My turn now." Alex quickly took a shower, relieved that he had gotten her comfortable sweatpants and shirts. She looked nice in them, but he felt she would look good in anything. He was eager to see more. When he was done, he put on his own comfortable clothes. After about 20 minutes, he was ready to go back to the living room. Before leaving, Alex noticed the room where Anna's clothes were. All the bags were neatly folded, and the boxes for the dresses were stacked against the wall. Curiosity got the better of him, and he walked into the room to see how she had arranged everything. He opened the middle drawer and saw her clothes folded neatly, easy to grab. When he noticed the top box was empty, he looked and saw his closet door slightly open. Sure enough, she had placed her 6 dresses inside just as they had discussed. He liked seeing her clothes alongside his. When Alex entered the living room, Anna was typing again on the laptop. "Oh, there you are. Let me just clean the kitchen, then we can talk about that stuff I had you type up." Anna smiled at him and watched as he left the room. Seconds later, Alex came back into the living room with wide eyes. "Well, you didn't have to do that, but thanks. Now I get to learn more about you sooner." Anna scrolled through her pages and pointed to the top of the document. "I believe in tidying up a space, especially the kitchen, before moving on to another task. When I was in charge of meals at home while growing up, I made sure the kitchen got the attention it needed." "You knew I was going to ask if you cleaned it, right?" Anna smiled and nodded proudly. She scrolled down on her screen and pointed at something. "I might not talk much, but I can still read the person I'm with. I think I pay more attention because I'm not busy thinking of what to say next." "You're observant. I might need to be more alert than usual. You keep surprising me. By the way, I like to use Miss and the last name when talking to someone, but I don't know yours yet. Hopefully we will share that soon. But for now, what do you think about the dresser and closet? Did they work well for you?" Anna looked through her notes about her clothes and pointed at the screen to show Alex that she had already written a comment. "I love that all the tags were taken off so I could organize them easily. It's really so much, Alex. Are you sure it's okay for me to keep them?" "I feel even more sure now than when I first thought of it," Alex said. "Is there anything else you want to tell me before we move on to the other things I asked you to prepare?" Anna nodded and pointed to the spot on the screen for him to read. "I am a morning person," Anna had written. "I just need to wake up first. I yawn, go to the bathroom, and slowly become fully awake. Morning showers are the best. Even brushing my teeth before I get in there helps wake me up. I like coffee with creamer. The one I picked up last night was sugar-free French vanilla, my favorite. I don't get it at home much and can't afford special coffee every day. The eggs were really good. Scrambled is my favorite, especially with cheese on top. I love bacon, so I could have eaten more. Imagine me blushing for admitting that. I'm excited to make lunch. I think I'll start simple, but I hope you can teach me to make the chicken noodle soup you said you like. Does it take a lot of time to cook? And do we have everything we need? I also got the ingredients for goulash, so I will make that for dinner." Alex read it all and then went back up to see what he needed to respond to. "First, I love that you mentioned covering your cheeks while blushing," Alex told her with a laugh as she covered her cheeks at his remark. "I enjoy seeing your personality come through in what you write. Now, let's see," he said as he returned to the 3 paragraphs to comment on them. "I feel the same way about mornings and brushing my teeth first. Honestly, I've never told anyone this, but that's what I do too. I enjoy having a fresh taste in my mouth before I take a hot shower. I'm not sure why, but it makes me feel better." When he glanced at Anna, she was nodding eagerly. "Scrambled eggs with cheese are the best way to eat them, in my opinion," Alex joked, laughing as he added. "But I'm happy that's how you like them. And for sure, I'll make sure to have plenty of bacon from now on. Do you like sausage?" Anna nodded. Links or patties? She kept nodding and smiling. What about ham? Anna shrugged, still watching him. Oh, and I like that creamer too. I can't believe some people drink coffee black. Anna laughed and nodded in agreement. Yes, I got the things to make chicken noodle soup when we were at the store last night, Alex finally said, laughing when he saw her excitement. And we can make it together. I want to try that goulash dish too. Alex sighed as he put the laptop down. So, what did you have in mind for today? He laughed again at the shocked look on Anna's face. Okay. I'm just joking. We can watch a movie or whatever you wanted to see on cable. He stopped when he noticed Anna was about to playfully push him. Whoa, what? He exclaimed with laughter. That's what you said. Anna picked up the laptop, browsed quickly, and then pointed at the screen when she found what she wanted to show him. She crossed her arms and watched him read her words. I wanted to talk about that comment I made at the restaurant yesterday. It was really tense, and I felt awkward and upset. Right now, I'm so happy and truly grateful that you came up to me at the bar yesterday, especially on my birthday. That was the first thing I thought of to ease the tension. I don't have cable, so I wouldn't know what to watch or what's available. But what we've done together has been better than anything on television, Alex. I just wanted you to know that... Well, that made him feel a bit guilty for what he had said about it, but he was really happy to hear her feelings about the situation, too. Did he even think about why he had approached her at the bar anymore? At that moment, he needed a companion for the convention. He had planned to take her along and show her off in the new clothes he had bought for her. He knew from the moment she turned and noticed him at the bar that he wanted to get to know her better. Alex looked at Anna and nodded. Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad you thought of it. I felt bad that I made you cry. I really want to see you smile and feel happy, to be honest. I don't handle it well when people cry. At work, I try to keep things as positive as possible to avoid those moments. It's just how I cope. Anna listened and then nodded. She picked up her laptop, typed a few things, and pointed at the screen for Alex to see what she had ready that morning. Questions to get to know each other, she said. First, we'll go through my list. We'll both answer, then you can ask me questions. I've already answered most of mine. Does that sound good? Alex nodded and smiled. Sounds great. What do you have? He replied, looking at the screen. Where I'm from, I lived in Riverside until my parents passed away. After that, my older brother and I moved to Chicago to live with my aunt, uncle, and 3 cousins, she shared. I'm really sorry to hear that, he said gently, rolling his eyes slightly. I understand how you feel. My parents also passed away when I was 17. I was an only child, but even so, I'm glad you moved here to Chicago so we could meet. Anna blushed and nodded. Can you tell me more? I've lived here in the city my whole life. I don't think I've ever been out to the suburbs since everything I've done has been right here. Anna sighed and typed again. Tell me more about you too. My parents died in a car crash right before my senior year of high school. My brother stayed with me so I wouldn't end up in the system since I was still underage. Sadly, he couldn't maintain the house, and even though I wanted to finish high school, he didn't help me fill out forms or apply for aid, which might have allowed me to graduate. When I got here, my aunt and uncle encouraged me to just get my GED because they didn't want to make sure I got to school. I felt really sad about missing out on high school. As soon as I could, I enrolled in community college and started attending classes while also working to support myself. I didn't want to have to ask for money for personal things. Anna huffed a little. Just as she was about to pass the laptop to Alex, she quickly typed one more thought. She then handed it over and waited while he read what she had written. She got up and went to the kitchen to grab some water bottles for both of them. Alex read about her parents and felt for her, understanding how unfair it was that she hadn't been able to finish high school. Ugh. She was giving him a reason to realize that while he had thought of her as a good choice for a date at the convention, he was starting to see it differently. It seemed like she might have needed help more than anything else. He sensed there was more to her story about her brother than she let on, and he could tell she was holding back. Instead of going back and forth in her thoughts, she had skipped ahead, so he kept listening. My brother made me go out yesterday. It wasn't to celebrate my birthday, though. He and the rest of the family didn't even mention it. I got 3 messages from old friends who always remember. I miss them. My brother just insisted I should go with him to the bar. I don't even drink. He told me at noon that we'd leave at 1 p.m. When we got there, I secretly hoped they might be throwing me a surprise party, but that idea faded quickly as soon as we walked in. He told me to sit at the bar while he had business to handle. He disappeared and didn't even text to check on me. I don't know. I just don't know. Alex read that last part again before he set the laptop down carefully between them. What was going on? She hadn't even known they were going to the bar until just before. She had no part in planning for his gift. A flood of questions rushed through his mind. Why was she here? Why did she agree to this convention? Did she really have no idea? Why had the guys pointed her out? Could he have confused her with someone else? No, it didn't seem possible that there were two quiet girls at the bar that day. Something was off. Something was. He snapped out of his thoughts when he felt Anna tapping his hand. She pointed at the laptop for him to read her words. What's wrong? You look surprised. Are you okay? Did I say something wrong? Oh, no, Anna, Alex replied, shaking his head to show it wasn't her fault and to clear his mind of the many questions still swirling around. I'm sorry, it's fine. Hold on a second. I need to use the bathroom. I'll be right back. He quickly walked to his bedroom, not only because he liked it better, but also to leave the other one open for her use if needed. Perspective. She wasn't someone he had picked up for anything questionable. That was a relief, right? He had just met her at the bar. He had never done that before. It was all his choice, guided by things the guys seemed to already know. So where did that leave him? He could have had a date for the convention, but now it was off. She had a lot of clothes that she didn't know about and felt unsure about accepting, showing that she was innocent, even more than what he had believed the night before. The guys had suggested he buy her some dresses, but they were unaware of how many he actually chose for her. As he finished up in the bathroom, he thought that maybe the guys knew her a little, but they also knew he wouldn't want to deal with someone experienced who might expect too much right away. She was only considering this because she needed money, and his friends knew he would understand that. Also, she seemed likely to agree, which made him feel more confident in talking to her. Brian knew he wouldn't approach someone at a bar in the afternoon and think she would want to leave with him. That just wasn't how he did things. He wondered if her not being an escort was an issue. Alex frowned and then laughed. Of course not. She had no idea about the plans that seemed to involve her brother and others. So why was he hesitating? The fact that she was unaware only showed that she was genuinely interested in him. He was curious about her, and he needed to make the most of this chance. Who knew? Maybe Brian was right. Could this be the person he had been searching for? When he entered the living room, Alex saw Anna typing on the laptop again. Hey, sorry for the wait, he said with a smile as she looked up. It's my turn, right? Anna nodded. I'll share my story, but it's a bit sad. Anna raised her eyebrows. My parents both passed away too. They met later in life, and this was their first marriage. By the time they had me, they had been married for 8 years. My dad died when I was 17 from cancer. Honestly, I think my mom lost hope after that. She'd had heart issues before, but nothing too serious, and she took medication for it. When my dad died, I think part of her went with him. I believe she felt it was okay to give up because I was old enough to take care of myself. She passed away just 6 weeks after my dad. Even before his illness, they had planned their burials and settled their wills. Other than a few small choices, they had everything arranged. Once they were laid to rest, everything went smoothly with the lawyers, and before I knew it, I was alone with nowhere to go for Christmas. Anna gasped and covered her mouth as she set the laptop on the coffee table. Before Alex knew it, she was sitting on his lap with her arms around his neck. Though he wasn't expecting it, he welcomed her effort to comfort him. After a moment, she pulled away and went back to her own seat. She quickly wrote something and handed it to him. I'm so sorry for your loss. Did your friends or family take you in, or... Oh, no. By the time I was 18, I was already working, Alex explained. I had begun living here. He didn't want to discuss his job too much. He preferred to connect with her without her focusing on his wealth. It felt good to talk to someone who didn't see him only as a person with money. Alex sighed. You know what? Let's talk about something lighter. After that, we can start the soup. How does that sound? Anna smiled and nodded. Yes, my turn. What's your favorite color? Did you write it down? Anna laughed as she picked up her notepad, wrote quickly, and held it up. Oh, good idea. Ready? Go. Green. She showed him her answer, and he saw that she had picked the same color. Is that the color of that dress you got? Anna nodded. Yes, that's my favorite. For clothes, I like blues and greens, but black is always a classic choice. She quickly wrote again and held it up for him to see. You too? I wonder how our favorites connect. Your turn, she said. Hobbies? Was the next question on her list. Well, I don't usually have much time since I work a lot, Alex said. But I think this could become a new hobby for me. Anna considered this. She picked up the laptop, typed for a moment, and turned it for him to read. I love cooking and baking and cleaning up afterward, but I'm really enjoying this experience too. Who knew being snowed in would bring us closer together? Instead of responding, Alex reached over and took her hand, hoping she'd come closer. When she did, he put his arm around her and held her gently to his side. They sat like that for a little while before Alex finally said, Oh, it's my turn. Okay. Religion. Anna picked up the laptop again, scrolled a bit, and then handed it to him. It seemed she had already written her thoughts. I was raised Catholic. I used to go to Mass every week, but since moving to Chicago, I haven't been able to attend. I miss it a lot. My aunt and uncle always make a fuss if I'm not around to cook on nights I'm free, so I learned to just pray quietly in my little room when I had the chance. I was raised Catholic, Alex said, gently touching her arm. I go to Mass every Sunday just for some peace and quiet. I still believe, but I don't take communion because I don't practice regularly. I hope to reconnect with him someday, he added, looking upward. I would offer to take you to Mass tomorrow, but it might not be safe. Anna nodded, agreeing with him. What's your favorite gift? Anna typed for her next question. You're going to think I'm cheesy, but it's you, Anna. Meeting you at the bar yesterday was the best gift I've ever had. Anna laughed and took back the laptop to share her answer. You're going to think I'm silly, but it was definitely the shopping spree yesterday. I've never had that experience before. I feel so much more confident now. It was amazing. Do you like to read? He asked. Anna quickly typed and pointed to the screen. Yes, but I love cookbooks. They both chuckled. I do too, or I did the last time I read for fun, but I usually don't have time. I should make time for it, right? Okay, I'll keep your answer hidden until you reply. Sound good? Alex nodded. Cats or dogs? She typed. Someday I'd like a dog, Alex admitted with a nod. We had a dog when I was little. I would love to have a nice dog again someday. Do you prefer love stories or scary stories? I'm going to embarrass myself, Alex said, covering his face. I really love a good love story. Those cheesy movies are my favorite. Anna tilted her head and pointed to scary on the screen. Oh no, Alex replied, shaking his head. I get nightmares just from the previews. She quickly typed, action, on the screen. Sure, but a lot of that just has fighting and special effects. I prefer a good story. I like love stories best, but I'm open to some action movies once in a while, she typed back. Good to know, he responded, and they both laughed together. Paper or plastic? She asked. I actually prefer bags with handles, Alex said. I like different bags that have handles. I just choose whatever is free, Anna typed. Old songs or today's music? I like all kinds of music. I enjoy all music too. And of course, I love to dance. Last night was so nice. It was. I haven't enjoyed dancing in a long time. I'd be happy to dance with you again any time. Do the dishes or use a dishwasher? People actually wash dishes? This made Anna gasp, pull away, and pretend to punch him in the stomach. Her reaction made him laugh more than he expected, especially since he thought she might get upset. I've never had a dishwasher. I am the dishwasher, but I actually enjoy it. It feels nice to finish a meal. Okay, he said, and welcomed her back into his arms. What's next? Star Wars or Star Trek? She asked. Obviously. Star Wars, he replied. This time she carefully scrolled down to find the answer. Obviously, she showed him. Wait a minute. What else did you write? Anna giggled, which made Alex reach for the laptop. She let him have it so he could see her responses. If he answers wrong, clearly you are mistaken. Star Wars is the only right answer. If he answers both or none, I'm sorry. Our relationship cannot continue until we watch all 9 movies so you can find the right answer. If there's time, we will watch The Mandalorian too, if he answers correctly. Obviously. Oh, it's like that, huh? Alex asked, and handed the laptop back to her. He pointed at the couch for her to put it down. I think that's enough for now. I might need to check what else you wrote before we keep getting to know each other. He pretended to be offended, but he actually found it funny. Plus, he was happy she loved Star Wars too. Alex stood up and offered his hand to Anna so they could head to the kitchen and start making his soup. He had a recipe for a big batch, but this time they would make just enough for 2 servings. He usually made large amounts for work, which took longer. Would you mind cleaning and cutting the vegetables while I cook the chicken? Alex asked. He made sure she had the right tools and knew where they were for future meals. As they worked, Anna picked up her phone and played some music quietly in the background. Soon they both finished their tasks and added everything to the broth, which was heating up on the stove. A few stirs once it boils, then turn it down to simmer for an hour. After that, we'll add the noodles, and it should be ready about half an hour later. So what should we do while we wait? Anna suggested, shrugging her shoulder. Anna, are you asking me to dance with you again? She smiled and nodded, looking a bit shy. Alex walked over, gently lifted her chin with his finger, and smiled down at her. I would love that. He reached down to turn up the music from Anna's phone. Then he took her into his arms and began to dance with her. He would have liked to chat with her during the dance, but he chose to stay quiet, knowing it might be hard for her to respond. Occasionally, he thought of simple yes or no questions that she could easily answer. Usually, when they were together, she would reach up to his neck and gently play with his hair. He enjoyed that. When the buzzer rang, a song was ending, and Alex dipped Anna, making her laugh. She posed beautifully with her arm gracefully extended. Alex was mesmerized by her. After he let her back up, she pointed towards the bedroom, so he guessed she was going to use his bathroom. He put the noodles in the pot and stirred the soup. Taking a moment, he checked his phone and briefly looked at a few messages. He wasn't much of a texter, so those who messaged him understood that he would reply when he could. Those important to him knew it wasn't personal. He messaged his secretary, Maggie, to let her know he was safe at home and happy to take a break from work for a few days. He mentioned he'd be back on Friday as planned, had the convention not been canceled. Business would carry on as usual for everyone else next week. He thanked her for managing everything while he was away. Maggie replied quickly, excited that he was taking some time off. She agreed to call only for urgent matters. Alex smiled at his phone and placed it back on the counter. There you are, Alex said, opening his arms to welcome Anna back. Has your dancing worn you out? Would you like to take a break? How about we go back to the living room and tackle those questions? You started with several. Now it's my turn. Anna nodded and wrapped her arm around him as they walked back to the living room. Are you enjoying yourself? Alex asked as he settled back on the couch. Anna nodded and smiled. Maybe after lunch we could watch a movie and think of more things to do. I was planning to do some research, and if anything comes to mind, you could jot it down. He glanced around as if someone could hear them and leaned in closer to whisper, and maybe, I don't know what it's called, but perhaps we could take a nap. Anna was surprised and laughed hard, doubling over. Alex couldn't help but laugh too as he watched her. When she finally calmed down and wiped her tears, she picked up her notepad and wrote something with a smile. Yes, we can do that. I'd really like that. Maybe we can grab a blanket and cuddle up on the couch. Would that be all right? I wouldn't want it any other way, Alex replied. He felt a strong desire to hold her close and never let go. He wanted to help her heal from all the hardships she had faced in her life, even the few he only knew about. He also wanted to hear her talk more. As he looked into her eyes, he moved a little closer. Anna seemed to feel the same way. Before he could second-guess himself, he gently touched her cheek and kissed her. He felt Anna's hands resting on his knee. There, he said softly. Now that the first one is done, the rest will come easily. Alex cleared his throat, brushed his thumb along her chin, and stood up to head to the bathroom to collect his thoughts. Her lips were soft, and he found himself wanting more. They had to keep getting to know each other. There was still so much to learn. When Alex returned to the living room, he saw that she had left a note. Thank you. I've wanted you to do that for a while now. Alex smiled. Yes. What were they doing? Oh, right. He walked to the hall closet and took some blankets and pillows to place on the chair in the living room until they were ready to rest. He walked into the kitchen and saw Anna stirring the soup and sneaking a taste. Gotcha! Alex called out, teasing her as she tried to look innocent. That little act might have worked at the bar, but that note proves you're not as sweet as you pretend to be. And let's not forget how you managed to cuddle up to me across the whole bed. I'm on to you, little Miss Innocence. As he spoke, he moved closer to her. She pretended to be shocked by his words and shook her head in response, but she was still smiling. He turned her gently from the stove and leaned in to whisper in her ear. Did you enjoy that kiss? Anna nodded. I'm pretty sure it will be the first of many. Anna, I've never had feelings like this before. I don't know why or how it happened, but I love being with you. I enjoy our talks and how you respond. I want to see you smile. I want to be with you. Anna looked up at him and touched his cheek. Alex, she said softly and leaned in to kiss him gently. Alex met her kiss, and they shared a deeper connection. She wrapped her arms around his neck and he lifted her, holding her close. They were pressed against the fridge, lost in the moment together. Words weren't needed to express what they felt. Something special was growing between them. Alex was about to kiss her again when the timer chimed. He chuckled softly, hugged her tightly one more time, and then set her down on the ground. If you didn't enjoy that, you were saved by the timer, Alex joked, watching her shake her head. No, it wasn't nice. Anna gasped playfully and gave him a light punch on the shoulder. After turning off the timer, he looked back at her. To his surprise, she leaned in and kissed him gently. I loved it, she whispered, and winked as she walked over to sit at the small table. She crossed one leg over the other, resting her hands under her chin, smiling while she swung her leg back and forth, looking at him playfully. Anna, Alex said, taking a deep breath as he turned off the stove and reached for the ladle from the utensil container on the counter. He had already set the bowls aside to fill when the soup was ready. You always surprise me. He filled one bowl and set it down, looking over to continue their conversation. I haven't found a surprise I didn't like. Keep it up. It will be good for both of us. Anna giggled, making Alex smile even more. All right, Alex told her as he placed their bowls on the table. What do we like with it? I love oyster crackers. Anna nodded enthusiastically. Alex laughed heartily as he reached into the pantry to get their favorite topping. I knew there was a reason I liked you. You have great taste. He winked and then took her hand. Shall I lead us in prayer? Anna nodded, paused briefly, and then nodded again. They both made the sign of the cross as he said the prayer before meals. Amen, she mouthed, nodding along. The soup turned out just as Alex had hoped. Sharing it with Anna made it even better. They both ended up having second bowls, finishing off the pot on the stove. Anna finished first and went to the sink to wash the dishes. Alex brought over the dishes from the table and then turned to grab the others from the stove. He took a washcloth to clean the kitchen table and then the stove. Since there weren't many dishes, Anna finished quickly. His plan was to guide her back to the living room, holding her hand and having her sit on the couch while he sat down next to her. Instead, he gently wrapped his arms around Anna from behind, and she turned to face him. One look into her eyes, and in just a moment, they both felt a spark. Alex placed his hands on her waist, and Anna raised her hands to rest on his shoulders. He picked her up, and as they came together, it felt like they had been away from each other for too long. Anna was gently set on the sink ledge, and they started to touch each other softly, as if they couldn't get enough. Just then, Anna's phone buzzed in her pocket, interrupting the moment. Alex paused and watched as Anna tried to steady herself while taking her phone out. Hey, where you at? Was the message on her screen. Anna rolled her eyes and showed the screen to Alex. She glanced down and asked him to help her get off the counter. After they made their way back to the living room, Anna directed him to the laptop. She quickly found the part of her story that mentioned her brother. His name is Javi, Anna typed, then looked at her phone. She returned to the laptop and continued typing. After a moment, she breathed out and slid the screen toward him. If I don't reply, he'll send me more messages and calls. If I reply with details, who knows what he'll say. I want to give him a hard time for waiting so long to notice I wasn't home after he finished his day. Have you ever pushed back against him? Alex asked, shrugging. I mean, do you ever speak up for yourself? From what you've told me, it seems like you haven't had much of a say in your life. Anna typed quickly, sighed again, and turned the laptop around for him to read what she wrote. Not really. I usually just try to keep things calm by doing what I'm told without fuss. I hate seeing my aunt and uncle upset, especially when they've been drinking. And Javi always plays the "after all I've done for you" card to make me feel guilty. I'm so tired of it. It hurts. A guy I barely knew treated me so well on my birthday, a day my own family didn't even recognize. That guy is in a different place than your family, but I'd still treat someone special like you with extra care now that I know you, Alex said. It's really not right that they didn't even acknowledge you. He shrugged again. Maybe you could give him a little attitude and then keep it honest. Tell him you're safe with a friend, busy and won't be home until Thursday, and that you're enjoying being 22. Anna typed out her answer, showed it to Alex, who nodded in agreement and then hit send. She set the phone on the coffee table and turned to Alex. Ready for more getting-to-know-you questions? Alex asked, and Anna nodded, settling back comfortably against the couch arm. This is important. What's your full name? Anna thought for a moment and then nodded. She turned the laptop around, looked through her notes, and pointed at the first things she had written for him. My name is Cristiana Maria Lopez. I'm the daughter of Rosa and Miguel Lopez. Since I was little and still today with family and friends, I have been called Christy. My oldest friends, the 3 who texted me yesterday to wish me a happy birthday, all sent their messages to Christy. My parents, especially my mom, wanted me to have a name that felt more American. I told you my name was Anna because I felt ready to move on from that part of my life. I will always be Christy to them, but I want to be called Anna from now on, if that's okay with you. I think yesterday was a wake-up call for me to understand that my situation with school, family, money, and health won't improve until I face them and stop letting others decide things for me. Wow, Alex said after reading her words. That's a thoughtful answer to a simple question, and it means a lot that you opened up to me. My name is Alexander Manning McLean, but only my close friends and family call me Alex. My parents were James Alexander McLean and Catherine Elizabeth Manning. She kept her maiden name, but many called her by my dad's last name, especially after I was born. In work and business, I'm known as Xander. By the way, very few people know my middle name. Alex paused, waiting for Anna's reaction. About 8 seconds later, her eyes widened a bit. She quickly typed something and turned the laptop to show him. So, if I marry you, I'd go from a Mexican last name to an Irish one? That's interesting. When he read it, he looked up slowly, only to find her shrugging. This girl was full of surprises. He was enjoying every moment with her. Could it get any better? You have a way with words, Miss Lopez, Alex said playfully as he shook his head. Well, that brings me to my next point. You mentioned being with a friend. You're going by Anna for me, and I introduced myself as Alex. So my question is, now that we know so much about each other and don't plan to stop getting to know each other, will you be my girlfriend? 1,000 times yes, Alex, Anna typed quickly in response. Alex smiled. Looking back, I should have asked that at the end of our session so we could share a moment and maybe take a nap. Let's continue. What was your school experience like? I went to public schools until my junior year. I got my GED because I couldn't finish at my school. I did really well in my classes until I had to move. That was really tough. Losing my parents was hard, but losing my home, my friends, and everything else I cared about made things even worse. My aunt and uncle didn't help me finish school. They just wanted me to get my certificate. I worked at the college to earn my associate degree. I stayed to save up money for my bachelor's degree in culinary arts. But then I got sick last month and lost my job because I couldn't go to work or talk. I didn't have insurance, so when I got sick, I spent all my money on doctor visits. Now, I need to raise money for speech therapy to help me talk again. Alex read everything Anna had written and nodded. My answer is simpler. Well, kind of. I went to private schools. I actually got ahead in my studies early on, so by the time I was a sophomore, I was taking college courses. My mom wanted me to stay with kids my own age for high school, so I graduated with my class and got my bachelor's degree too, because I took extra courses during summers and breaks. Anna was surprised. She mouthed, "Whoa," when he finished talking. Then she picked up her notepad, wrote something down, and slowly showed it to him. "Super smart and talented? Lucky me." Alex blushed a bit as Anna smiled and leaned back in her chair. "You're going to pay for that one," Alex said, shaking his head. "Next question. Who is someone you look up to? For me, it's my godfather, Dan. He always looks out for me." Anna wrote on her notepad, "Most people." When Alex raised an eyebrow, she explained, "I'm only 5'6". This surprised him, and he burst out laughing. Anna laughed too and then typed her real answer since she had more to say. "My 3 friends from high school, Sarah, Sam, and Savannah. I really believe in them and their futures. They remember me often. They kept in touch and were always there for me when things got tough with my aunt and uncle. I hope to stay connected with them always." "I want to meet them," Alex said firmly. "If they matter to you, they matter to me. I want to thank them for being there for you too. I'll take over from here, but it's important to have good people in your life, not just to look out for you, but also to bring some joy and comfort." Alex took a deep breath and then sat down with his legs crossed to face Anna. "All right, next topic. Reality versus fantasy. What do you do every day versus something you'd love to do? For me, I work a lot, but I'd love to spend a whole day in bed. Not sick, just relaxing and enjoying it." Anna thought for a moment and then began typing. Alex watched her fingers dance across the keyboard. He liked seeing her focus as she expressed her thoughts. "I'm usually busy with work, and I really miss having fun, but it's tough without a voice. I'd love to do winter activities like sledding, ice skating, snowmobiling, skiing, sipping hot chocolate, and snuggling by the fireplace." "Ooh, that sounds great," Alex said after reading her message. "Have you ever spent a day in bed?" Anna shook her head. "Maybe it's not as amazing as it looks. I haven't taken a nap since I was about 16. Maybe one day." Suddenly, Alex imagined a peaceful day lying with Anna in a hammock, feeling relaxed and happy together. Where did that thought come from? "Okay, next question. Cotton or lace? I prefer comfort." Anna quickly typed her response. "Comfort in what?" Alex laughed a little. "I should have been clearer. I meant undergarments, like bras and such." She blushed but continued to type her answer. "I don't really know. Cotton is what I've always worn until yesterday. I think the fancy ones with lace are nice and surprisingly comfy. I guess I'll find out." "I think you'd look great in lace," Alex said sincerely. "Final question. I'm tired and ready for a nap. So slow or fast? I think it depends on what we're discussing." While he spoke, Anna was already typing away. "It depends on the mood." "That's true," he agreed, giving her a playful wink as she closed her laptop, placed it on the table, and made sure her notebook was exactly where she had left it, with her pen set upright. She turned around to see Alex getting up to turn the couch into their bed for a nap. Anna pointed at the TV and shrugged. "What about watching a Christmas movie? Is that strange?" she asked, tilting her head. After thinking for a moment, she shook her head. "Good. Let's watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Have you seen it?" Anna gave him a look that said, "Are you joking?" Which made him laugh. "All right. You'd be surprised how many people haven't seen the classics." Alex settled back on the couch, inviting Anna to lie in front of him, and she happily accepted. Once they were comfortable, Anna looked up at him and gently touched his cheek. Alex looked down at her and leaned in to kiss her softly. Their kiss was slow and full of feeling, different from the quick one they shared earlier. It felt important, like something they both needed. They shared a few more warm kisses before Alex nodded at the screen, signaling her to pay attention to the movie. About 10 minutes later, both of them drifted off to sleep. Alex woke up suddenly, his heart racing. In his dream, Anna had been taken away from him. He was surrounded by what seemed like her family, and they were all yelling that he couldn't be with her. Then her brother came up to him, ready to confront him if he didn't leave. Just when Alex felt ready to stand up for her, he woke up. Anna groaned, sitting up quickly. "Oh, sorry," Alex said softly, feeling bad. "I didn't mean to wake you. I had a bad dream and it startled me. Are you okay?" Anna nodded but stayed sitting up. She pointed to the bathroom, letting him know she needed to go before settling back down. Alex lay back on the pillow, feeling unsettled. The thought of losing her was frightening. He couldn't wait to contact his doctor to discuss getting a plan in place for her health so they could talk about their future together. As Alex glanced at his watch, he couldn't help but smile. It had only been a day, and he was already thinking about visiting Mr. Cardinale to pick up an engagement ring. Anna was everything to him, his girlfriend, his future, and his love. After all the jokes his friend Brian had made, Alex had once thought that falling in love wasn't worth the teasing and losing some of his independence. But Brian was also right. They could joke all they wanted, but at the end of the day, he'd be going home to Anna. Losing control? The truth was, he was happily losing himself in her. Alex looked up and saw Anna watching him. He smiled, took a deep breath, and sat up. "How long does your goulash take?" Anna held up 2 fingers. "Let's start on that now. While it cooks and becomes the delicious meal you'll make, we can relax out here. Do you like Big Bang Theory?" She nodded and smiled. "Great! We can watch that while we work or just enjoy each other's company. Sound good?" Anna reached out her hand to help Alex up from the couch, leading him to the kitchen. As they did with the soup, they worked together effortlessly. Anna kept noticing Alex sneaking bites of their cooking and playfully telling him to stop. She set a timer for 20 minutes and raised 3 fingers. "Every 20 minutes for the next hour?" Anna shook her head. "Oh, 3 more times. I understand. When the timer goes off, you stir it, then set it for another 20 minutes. We'll be able to eat around 5:30 p.m. Sounds good, Chef." Anna smiled and winked at him as she headed back to the living room. After a while, Anna typed on the laptop, pausing sometimes to think while tapping her finger on her lip. Meanwhile, Alex was busy researching laryngitis and reaching out to his doctor to see what he knew about serious cases. He thought about how he could get Anna's medical records without her needing to be involved. Since it was Saturday and likely a snow day for many, except hospital workers and emergency responders, Alex knew he'd have to wait for more information. He included Anna's full name and birthday in an email in case the doctor had any connections, knowing that this doctor would keep things private. When the timer rang, Anna set the laptop aside and walked to the kitchen to stir their dish, returning about 30 seconds later. She leaned down to give Alex a gentle kiss before going back to her writing. On the 3rd time she did this, Alex playfully brought her onto his lap, and she nestled against him happily. Finally, dinner was ready, and they enjoyed the goulash they had made together. Alex kissed the top of Anna's head and complimented her on the meal before heading to do the dishes. Anna smiled, pleased to see that Alex knew how to clean up. She wiped down the table and put the leftovers into a small container he handed her. After that, Alex let Anna choose the next movie. While she picked one, he made fresh popcorn with real butter for them to snack on. Anna selected an old classic called Overboard. They cuddled on the couch under a blanket, using the nearby chair to set aside the pillows. They wanted to stay awake to enjoy the movie without sleeping through it. They were playful together, with Anna tossing a piece of popcorn for Alex to catch in his mouth. He tossed too many at her, making her laugh. Since they had both seen the movie before, Alex had the fun idea to kiss during the movie whenever the characters shared a kiss. They decided to skip the first kiss since it was unexpected, but they enjoyed the next few. One scene made things a bit awkward, but Alex could not help but imagine what it might be like to share a special moment with Anna one day. At the end, Anna smiled and wiped a tear from her eye while Alex picked up their empty popcorn bowl and glasses that had held their root beer because soda goes well with popcorn. He took them to the kitchen. The TV was off, and Anna happily followed Alex to the bedroom. Alex noticed her notepad was in the same spot on the coffee table as always. He wondered if she kept it there because of her current home situation or for another reason. He thought he should ask her about it someday. Anna grabbed her pajamas and changed in her small room while Alex stepped into the bathroom. She climbed into bed, and Alex turned off the light, inviting her to come closer even before he was fully in bed. As they lay there, waiting for sleep, Alex stared at the ceiling and asked Anna a question. "What's your deepest secret, Anna? If I share mine, will you share yours?" She paused, but then nodded. "I've never been with anyone like that. I have had chances, but it just didn't feel right. It might sound silly, but I believe there is more to it than most people think." He took a deep breath, feeling brave for sharing something he hadn't told anyone in a long time. Only his godfather, Dan, and his best friend, Brian, knew this about him. Others just assumed they knew. "Me too," Anna whispered with a smile as Alex looked down at her. She gently ran her fingers through his hair and leaned closer. "And I love that," she added before they shared a sweet kiss. After the kiss, she closed her eyes as Alex lay back, letting her cuddle against him as they drifted off to sleep. Later, Alex woke up when he heard Anna make a noise. He turned to see her facing away from him, shaking. When he reached out to touch her, she flinched. "Anna? What's wrong?" She curled up tighter, shaking as if she were upset. "Anna, what's wrong?" When she still didn't face him, he gently pulled her around. Despite her resisting, he managed to turn her to see him. "Sweetheart, what's wrong?" His concern made her cry even more. "Did something happen?" She shook her head but pointed at something. She mouthed a word and looked up at him, her eyes still filled with tears. "What is it?" She mouthed dream again before shutting her eyes and crying harder. "Oh, love, that must have been scary," he said softly. Anna nodded and covered her face. "You know, the best way to handle it is to talk about it. I'm here for you. We'll get through it together. Tell me what happened, Anna." "I'll go get the laptop so you can lean on me and I can hold you," he said gently. When Anna was comfortable, she looked through her notes, added a few sentences at the beginning, and then handed it to him. "I typed this up yesterday while we were watching Big Bang. I was just waiting for the right moment to share it. It's pretty much exactly what I dreamed. I don't think I've really dealt with everything since my parents died. Every few months I wake up feeling scared and sad after having this same dream again." Alex paused his reading when Anna got up to go to the bathroom. He took the chance to keep reading, hoping for more details to understand and help her. "My parents were coming home from a family gathering about 20 minutes away. They did this almost every weekend. I didn't go that night because I was out with friends. Javi was with his friends who were home from college. A man was driving with his wife when he had a medical emergency. He crossed the center line and crashed into my parents. It happened so fast that witnesses said my dad had no time to react. They all died instantly because the speed limit was 50 miles per hour. I didn't hear my phone because I was in the theater. My brother was really angry at me for not answering. He punished me for days because he was upset. He and my aunt and uncle went to the morgue, but I wasn't allowed to go. I never got to say goodbye because my aunt chose a closed casket. When I tried to talk to them about it, they got mad at me for making things more difficult. The wake, funeral, and burial went by in a blur. Even when my brother's friends came over, mine were sent away because they said they were distracting me from helping with the food and drinks. "You like to cook anyway. Here's your chance to make it up to Mom and Dad for not being there when they needed you," they said. Alex shook his head and closed his eyes, trying to understand what he had just read. If he ever met her brother, it would be too soon based on what Anna had shared. Did no one in her family stand up for her? He wondered when he would meet her friends since she talked so warmly about them. He was eager to meet the young women who were determined to lift Anna's mood. Anna had just finished in the bathroom and was sitting close to him as he read on his laptop. He set the computer aside and invited her to sit on his lap. Instead of sitting the way he expected, she positioned herself differently and put her arms around him. He wanted to chuckle but decided against it. She began to cry again and he felt a deep sadness for her. There are many tough parts to this story, but one of the hardest was that I was about to get a scholarship to any college I wanted. I would have had everything covered because I was the first in my family to go to college. I took part in activities and my grades were great. I lost that chance because my brother didn't try hard enough to follow the advice about getting help to stay in school for one more year. I know you might ask why I didn't try to live with someone else for that year. But it was never an option, Alex. My brother treated me poorly, and they made me feel guilty for wanting to leave when we were all we had left as family. They told me I wouldn't succeed without them and would never be welcome back if I didn't go to Chicago with my brother. While I was packing, my brother walked in and saw me crying. He got upset and shouted at me to hurry up because we were leaving. He said that anything I hadn't packed would be left behind. I felt powerless against him. He was angry about our parents passing away and took it out on me. What I didn't know was that he had come to tell me my 3 friends were there. When he saw me upset, he thought I was taking too long and didn't want me to meet them, so he yelled at me instead. Then he went outside to tell them I couldn't see them and asked if they would return another time. The next time they came over, no one was home. I learned the next day when I reached out to them, and they told me what had happened. I was heartbroken. Once we settled in Chicago, my brother started being nice to me again. He even apologized for what he had done. We had some good times together, and I was beginning to feel better about him. But then he started hanging out with new friends and was rarely around. He worked a lot, but he didn't offer me the comfort I needed. I asked about going to high school, but they ignored me until I found out that school had already begun. I considered calling myself to ask how to enroll in school, and my aunt did not take that well. The next day, she came home with books and information about getting my GED. I cried and told them they had already taken my last year of high school, not to mention my chance for college. I believed I was capable of more than just a GED. That comment earned me a slap on the face. I later learned that both my aunt and uncle had gotten their GEDs and had been working since they turned 18. I stopped arguing with them after that. They told me I had to be obedient and helpful because they were supporting my brother and me when no one else would. Unfortunately, things got worse when they discovered I was a good worker and had been saving money. I had to hide my bank records because the first time they found out how much I had saved, one of them suddenly lost their job. Since they claimed to be doing so much for me, they said it was my duty to help pay the bills. When I insisted that my money was for college, they laughed and said it was a waste of time since they didn't believe I would achieve much anyway. I managed to enroll in a community college that was close enough for me to walk to. The counselor gave me a strange look when I showed her my GED, but after I explained my situation, Miss Edgemeyer took the time to guide me and was determined to help me sign up for as many classes as possible at a low cost. I was able to take tests to clear out several courses and only had to pay for a portion of the testing fees. Within a year, I earned my associate degree. Good job, Alex thought to himself. He wanted to say it out loud but was worried about surprising her. She had been crying on and off as he read her words. But he thought again, I'm happy for her, and smiled while gently rubbing her back as he had been doing since she sat down next to him. Sometimes one of them would be out of work, and since they couldn't prove I was hiding money, they would casually mention that the electric or gas bill was my responsibility for that month. While they were behind on payments, what I gave them ended up being for several months. More than once, I found my room a mess, which showed they were searching for my savings. Each time, they would tell me off for having a messy room. Insert eye roll here that made me so frustrated. Yes, Alex, I realize now that I should have done many things to stand up for myself, but I truly felt I had no choice at the time. Looking back, it's clear that I did have options, but I didn't understand that then. Thankfully, my friends would often send me messages and pictures to lift my spirits. I've only been able to meet with them twice since I moved, but those 2 times were enjoyable and gave me reasons to smile when most of my life felt sad. When I finished my degree, I looked into cooking schools. I kept working at the college and had a part-time job at a small restaurant for a few months. But then COVID hit, and I lost that extra income. You might think my aunt and uncle would have tried to get any support they could as my guardians, but since they stopped me from going to school and didn't like the government, I also missed out on having insurance. I was an adult, but I still relied on them for food and a place to live, so I couldn't apply for my own insurance. Yes, they went through my mail, and they could have easily found out, which would have caused problems I wasn't ready to face. My aunt and uncle believe that applying for help means you are being watched, and they didn't want that. So they refused to apply for any assistance or state insurance, leaving me with little support. I've tried to find doctors or places to talk about my situation like I did with Mrs. Edgemeyer at the college, but no luck. I either got confused answers or was told no such service existed. It's all about profit for the groups running the hospitals and clinics these days. As you can guess, this leads to my current situation. I put off seeing a doctor longer than I should have, hoping I would feel better on my own. By the time I got to Dreyer Medical Facility, I was almost out of energy. The doctors and nurses had to rehydrate me and give me several medicines. I really struggled to avoid being admitted to the hospital because I couldn't pay for it. The doctor said my laryngitis was the worst he'd ever seen. He warned me not to whisper, as it could make things worse. For a week after that visit, I tried to speak each morning, but nothing came out. When I finally went back to the doctor, I was hesitant since it would cost more money. He told me it was a really bad case, but assured me that with time and less talking, I would get better. Then came my 22nd birthday. I went to a bar and met an amazing man who, in just a few hours, showed me that I deserve more, and that there are good people besides my 3 best friends and 1 counselor who want me to be successful, healthy, and loved. I truly feel grateful we met, Alex, and that you've chosen to spend this time with me. First, Alex started, clearing his throat, thank you for sharing that with me. I'm so glad you were able to share how you feel, both with your words and your tears. He glanced at the pile of tissues by the pillow and sighed. I'm really sorry, Anna. Is this helping? Can I hold you? Keep letting it all out? Anna nodded. Did you not get a chance to see them before they were buried? Anna shook her head and cried harder. I can't imagine how painful that was for you. I wish you hadn't had to deal with this extra hurt on top of losing your parents. And did you really not get to say goodbye to your friends? Anna shook her head again and clung to him. Alex held her tight and gently stroked her hair. I'm here for you, Anna. You can cry with me as long as you need. I won't leave. They sat in silence for another hour. He stroked her hair and kissed her cheek. She would shake and start crying again, sometimes softly, sometimes more intensely, which only made him want to comfort her even more. Normally, he didn't like when people cried, but it didn't bother him now. All he wanted was to support her and be there for her. He cherished every moment with her. Finally, she squeezed him and reached for another tissue to clean her face. She got up and went to the bathroom to wash up. When she returned, she smiled when she saw him at the end of the bed. He picked up his phone, played some music, and pulled her into his arms to dance for a few songs. They swayed back and forth together, and to him, it was a dance they both needed. He had held her on the bed, and now he held her while dancing. He knew he would do anything to give her the happiness she deserved. Anna looked up into Alex's eyes and smiled as he leaned down to kiss her gently. He pointed at the bed, and she nodded in agreement as they climbed in together to cuddle and drift back to sleep. About 5 hours later, Alex woke up to Anna kissing his cheek. He sighed, turned to her, and kissed her back while holding her face. When he opened his eyes, he was amazed to see she had already made breakfast in bed. There was coffee, orange juice, scrambled eggs with cheese, bacon, sausage, and toast. Wow! What did I do to deserve all this? Alex said with a grin, leaning in for another kiss. Breakfast in bed? This is amazing. Anna, you're incredible. Let's eat. Let's eat. He led them in a prayer just like before every meal since he discovered she was Catholic too. Alex and Anna spent their day relaxing in the bedroom, not getting dressed or taking showers, eating meals and snacks in bed, and sharing sweet kisses now and then. They took short naps and enjoyed reading or playing games on their phones. Anna typed out some thoughts about life while Alex did some research on different things. While Alex was resting, Anna prepared dinner and dessert for both of them to enjoy together. Their closeness was growing. During one of their tender moments, Anna rested her hands on his chest and ran her fingers through his hair. Alex held her waist, feeling curious about being even closer. He gently asked if she'd let him hold her more closely. Before he finished asking, she took off her shirt and wrapped her arms around him, kissing him sweetly. Mission accomplished, she whispered, snuggling up against him as they settled into sleep. Her warmth next to him made him thankful for the wonderful connection they shared. Lying there, Alex thought about how much his life had changed in just 2 days since Anna came into it. Just the day before, he had told her he wished for a day spent in bed, and now she seemed to want to make that happen for him. It wasn't a repayment. She simply wanted to do something nice. With her kind heart, she made him feel like the luckiest person. His research wasn't just about her needs. He was planning for the next day too, especially since she had made his wish a reality. If she wanted a fun winter day, then that was exactly what he'd give her. After all, it was his birthday. What better reason was there than to celebrate it with joy and laughter? That night, they both slept soundly, hardly moving apart from each other. He couldn't picture spending another day without her, and waking up alone felt impossible. He knew, deep in his heart, he was truly in love with her. Although it seemed scary before, the idea felt right now that he was planning a future with her. In the morning, Alex was awakened by cheerful music. Na 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 na! They say it's your birthday! Na 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 na! It's my birthday too, yeah! When he opened his eyes, He saw Anna dancing on the bed, singing along and bringing a smile to his face. Alex quickly got comfortable with Anna and lay down next to her. "Now that is the best birthday surprise I've ever had," he joked, showering her face with kisses. Anna giggled, moving around playfully. She waved her arms and legs until he finally kissed her on the lips, making her stop squirming. She wrapped her arms around him, pulling him closer. Alex said, hugging her back. "You know what? I had some plans for today, but I think I'd rather spend another day just like this instead." Anna giggled and shook her head. "No? Why not? What could be better than this?" Anna shook her head again and smiled, trying to wiggle out from under him. All right, he said with a laugh. "But if you don't enjoy what we do today, don't blame me." He noticed a coffee cup beside him on the bed. Anna had her cup on her side. She grabbed it and sat up with him against the headboard while he took a sip. When she handed him her notepad, he read it and nodded. "Smart girl," he said, kissing the top of her head. She wrote that she had not made breakfast because she thought he might want to go out. If not, she was ready to cook anything he asked for. Then, to his surprise, she pointed to the notepad again. Alex lifted the page and saw more notes on the other side. He read them and smiled. "Yes," he said, kissing her head again. "We'll have enough time for you to make me dinner and dessert. And yes, I'd happily take you to the store for whatever you need." He took a deep breath and looked at her. "What did I do to deserve you?" When Anna just shrugged, he shrugged back and set down his coffee. He playfully took her half-empty mug and placed it next to his. Before Anna knew what was happening, Alex jumped playfully and landed on the bed beside her. "Ha! I've got you now! You're mine, and I'm not letting you go!" Anna gasped and laughed in surprise, wiggling under his playful grasp. "You make me so happy, Anna," Alex said at last, gently touching her cheek before holding her face. "So happy," he repeated as he leaned in closer. Anna smiled and returned the kiss before getting up to go to her small room to choose her outfit for the day. Alex went to his dresser to grab a t-shirt and some comfortable shorts before heading to the bathroom. Once they were ready to go out, Alex made sure to pack their winter gear in the backpack he was carrying. They put on their snow boots, knowing they would need them after the snowstorm. Anna was curious about their plans, but Alex hadn't revealed much. He knew she would have a great time. Their first stop was breakfast, where they enjoyed delicious waffles for her birthday until they felt full. Since Alex had planned everything, he guided their day, and Anna felt relaxed and happy to be with him, just as he wanted. As they left the restaurant, Alex began sharing their plans. "Yesterday, you surprised me by making my wish come true. Now it's my turn," he said. Anna tilted her head, eager to hear more. "First, we are going to a big hill where we'll find lots of other people enjoying the snow. On our way, we'll pick up a special surprise." Anna looked at him curiously, wondering what he meant. "Oh, so you're not a fan of surprises?" Alex teased, noticing her wide eyes looking for clarification. "I need a sled," he admitted as he walked into the back of a nearby shop that was open. "Come on," he said with a laugh when he saw her surprise at how easily he entered. "Alexander!" Mr. Cardinale called out warmly as he approached Alex for a friendly hug. "I have your sled right here, and who do we have with you today?" "Mr. Cardinale, this is Ana Lopez, my girlfriend. I must say she's very special to me," Alex introduced. He watched as Anna took off her glove to shake hands, but Mr. Cardinale surprised her by gently kissing her hand instead. "Miss Lopez, it's a true pleasure to meet the one who has captured this young man's heart. May I ask, do you feel the same way?" Anna smiled and nodded, blushing a little as she took Alex's arm and looked up at him. "Ah, I see that spark. This warms my heart more than the best meals." "Mr. Cardinale, I want you to know that soon we will have the joy of hearing Anna speak. Right now, she has a bit of a sore throat. I promise to bring her here to chat with you when she's feeling better. It will be wonderful for both of us," Alex said. "I agree with you, young man," Mr. Cardinale replied, nodding. "I look forward to that day." But the sun was setting quickly. That's the challenge we face in winter. "Go ahead, enjoy yourselves. Just bring the sled back when you can." "Will do, sir," Alex replied. "We'll swing by to return it since it's on the way to our next stop after sledding. Thank you. See you soon." Anna put her gloves back on and offered to carry the sled, but Alex declined so he could hold her hand on the way to the park. Sledding was just as fun as they had hoped. They took a few pictures of themselves on the sled, and Alex couldn't remember ever having such a good time on a hill. After dropping off the sled at the shop, Alex took Anna to the ice rink about half a mile away. As they walked, Anna pointed to a snowy owl in a tree, and Alex showed her a family making a snowman in the park. "Have you ever had a snowball fight?" Alex asked. Anna shrugged. "Would you like to?" She nodded and shrugged at the same time. "What about building snowmen?" Anna smiled and nodded again. "Great. Now tell me, where do you put the carrot and the pieces of coal?" Anna gasped playfully and tapped Alex's stomach. "What? On the face, right? What were you thinking?" Alex laughed at her reaction. Still chuckling, he led Anna to the entrance of the skating rink. He stepped aside to let others pass. "We have an hour here at the rink, then I've arranged snowmobiles for another hour. I thought about taking you skiing too, but that will have to be a day-long adventure, maybe even overnight somewhere," he said with raised eyebrows. "We'll head back to my place after this and grab a late lunch. Then we can shop for everything you want for meals in the coming days," Alex said softly as he leaned closer. "We've got a bit more to do at home, so let's enjoy this outdoor fun first. Then we can focus on the cozy indoor activities later. Does that sound good?" Anna nodded, maintaining eye contact. "Kiss me so we can get started." Anna smiled and leaned in. Ice skating was new for her, but Anna had roller skated often, so she picked it up quickly. They held hands, tried different skating styles, and frequently stopped for pictures, including one where they shared a sweet kiss. Both felt a little sad when their hour was up. Once they arrived at the snowmobile track just 5 minutes away, they forgot about their earlier disappointment. As they got ready, they put on their gear, rode along the trail, and stopped to take pictures. Since they were told they were the only ones there, they enjoyed each other's company and raced in an open field, feeling thrilled to be there. When their hour ended, Alex helped Anna out of her snow gear, just like he did at the sledding hill, and Anna held the backpack open for him to put everything away. At the restaurant, they shared a sandwich and fries while enjoying 2 warm cups of hot chocolate. A server took a picture of them at the mostly empty restaurant. She smiled and told them they made a cute couple, especially for spending their day making wonderful memories instead of rushing back to work. "Enjoy your youth and each other," she said. "It looks like you're already on the right path." "Thanks, Ethel," Alex said gratefully as he took his phone back from her. "You're right. We're having a great time. I really appreciate your advice. I'm going to keep it in mind." He left a generous tip on the table and handed $100 bills to all 3 servers, then winked at Ethel. He helped Anna into her coat before putting on his own. "Have a wonderful day, and maybe you all should consider that advice too." "Next stop is the store," Alex announced with excitement. Anna smiled and shook her head. Once inside, he pointed to the cart. "Show me what you can do. Make this boyfriend proud." Anna beamed as she grabbed a cart and headed for the aisles. Alex wandered around and picked up a few items for their shopping list. On their first shopping trip, Alex noticed something interesting about Anna. She would look at the items and seem to be planning meals in her mind. At first, he thought she was just worried about getting snowed in and not having enough food. But as she did it again this time, he realized it was her way of making sure they always had enough to eat. He had a feeling it was also to stay clear of any issues with her aunt and uncle. "No worries," Alex reminded himself quietly. If he could help it, Anna would never have to go back there. Anna looked for him and smiled when she spotted him nearby. "Ready?" he asked. She nodded and smiled as she pushed her cart toward the checkout counter. In the elevator, Alex glanced at Anna and smiled. "Did you have fun today?" he asked. Her expression clearly said she did, almost as if to say, "Of course." "Me too, and we still have more time." Even though their hands were full with shopping bags, he felt a tingle in his fingers. He wished they had been holding hands. "Hey, can you put these away so I can unpack our snow gear? I'll hang them up to dry and then we can move on to the next thing. How does that sound?" Anna nodded and started sorting through the bags. Alex felt drawn to stay with her. When he didn't move, Anna waved her hand to get his attention and shrugged lightly as if to say, "What's going on?" Alex laughed as he walked over to stand in front of her. "It feels silly." Anna's expression turned serious as she set the bags aside and faced him. She silently asked, What? Oh wow, I feel so foolish saying this. It's nothing. I'll be right back. He turned to leave, but Anna grabbed his hand. What, Alex? She whispered. Please tell me. I just don't want to leave you, he admitted. I want to stay close to you. Even if I go to my room, I know I'll miss you. Anna squeezed his hand before heading to the living room. She returned with her notepad. As she wrote, Alex watched her in awe, seeing her concentrate on her words. Then she handed him the note and nodded. Well, I guess I'm silly too, because I don't want to be apart from you either, Alex. I never intended to be by your side that first night, but I feel like that's where I belong. Even in my sleep, I reached out for you. I stayed close because it felt right. I'm yours if you want me. It felt unreal to Alex, the way he realized he was in love with the woman looking up at him. And if she felt the same as she had written in her note, he knew it would change everything for him. Captivated, deeply in love. Alex gently touched her cheek and leaned down to rest his forehead against hers. He closed his eyes and sighed. Yes, Anna, and I'm yours completely. Anna lifted her hands to his shoulders. In perfect harmony, they moved slightly closer for a sweet kiss. I don't know how or when it happened, but Cristiana Maria Lopez, I know in my heart that I love you. I plan to spend my life making you happy every single day. Alex, Anna whispered, and kissed him again. She leaned closer and whispered in his ear, I love you too, before kissing his temple, and then returning to his gaze for another kiss. When they finally stopped, Alex held her hands in his. I guess we should get back to what we were going to do. I'll meet you in the living room. Sound good? Anna nodded and smiled as he grabbed the backpack and left quietly. I'm going to spend my life with her, and I couldn't be more excited, Alex thought as he hung up their snow pants and gear to dry in the bathroom. After finishing, he leaned against the sink and looked up. Thank you for her. Thank you for bringing her into my life at the right time. Help me take care of her and make her life better. He made a small gesture, like a promise to God. In the living room, Alex found Anna on the couch with the laptop. Music was playing from her phone, and she tapped her foot to the rhythm against the coffee table. Her notepad was right where it always was. He smiled. Life was great, and he looked forward to many happy moments with her. When Anna saw Alex, she smiled and invited him to sit with her. She leaned forward, placed the laptop down, and patted the space behind her for him to join. Alex slipped in behind her and gently wrapped his arms around her waist. She leaned back against his chest with a happy sigh. When she glanced up at him, he leaned down for a kiss. Happy birthday to the luckiest guy, he whispered, giving her another kiss. She sighed, returned his kiss softly, then reached for her phone. After setting a timer for 4:30 p.m., she positioned herself comfortably and invited him to get settled too. Alex felt himself getting sleepy with the gentle music still playing. Anna pulled the coffee table closer so she could type. He tried to see what she was writing, but his eyelids grew heavier and soon he dozed off. The phone's alarm rang, waking him. He stretched and wrapped his arms around Anna, pulling her close again. She turned her head, giving him a soft kiss that made him want more. He leaned in for a deeper kiss, and they both smiled with enjoyment, feeling a rush of excitement. Anna then nudged her head, asking him to follow her. He pointed to the bathroom and stood up after she did, ready to take his turn. He watched Anna as she walked into the kitchen. She was getting ready to make his birthday dinner, and he was excited to try her chocolate chip cookies. Anna had a bowl and several ingredients on the counter as she started to mix the cookie batter. When Alex reached for a chocolate chip, Anna playfully swatted his hand and shook her finger to warn him. Alex laughed and tried to reach for the pot to boil water for the spaghetti, but Anna surprised him with a light tap on his back, making him stop in his tracks. No, she whispered, and waved him away. Can I at least watch? Alex asked, feeling a bit frustrated as he crossed his arms. Anna smiled and gently touched his cheek before getting back to her task. Alex shook his head with a smile and moved to the kitchen table. He took out his phone and snapped a few pictures of her, then opened his notes to write down more questions for them to learn about each other. He watched Anna skillfully work in the kitchen. She mixed the batter, measured ingredients, stirred them together, and put the dough onto cookie sheets. Once finished, she slid them into the oven, cleaned the counter, and laid out wax paper for the cookies to cool. Next, Anna turned her attention to the spaghetti. She cooked meat in one pan while the water heated up on another burner. While those cooked, she prepared a salad with lettuce, strawberries, and walnuts, and took out a frozen box of cheesy bread. Alex smiled as he remembered watching her choose between garlic and regular cheesy flavors during their first shopping trip. She had decided on the regular one, and he wondered if she had thought back then that they might end up sharing a kiss. Did she feel a connection to him too? He found it amusing that many of their kisses had been at night, and he thought about how they never let breath get in the way of those moments. They brushed their teeth every night, but he never paid much attention to it. No matter the little things, Anna felt special to him compared to anyone else he might have dated. The salad was ready. The first batch of cookies was cooling on the wax paper. The second batch was in the oven. The water was boiling. The meat was cooked and mixed with sauce and spices, and the cheese bread was waiting for its turn to bake. Anna was very good at managing her time and tasks, and Alex felt even more impressed as he watched her work. Once everything was finished cooking and baking, she plated the dishes. The salads were neatly placed on the table next to the silverware and napkins that Anna had set up before Alex joined her. She picked up 2 cans of soda for dinner, remembering that Alex preferred not to have wine or beer. After Alex said a prayer, expressing gratitude for his 23 years of life and for what Anna meant to him, Anna nodded and silently agreed. The salad complemented what Alex had hoped for his birthday dinner. The spaghetti was perfectly cooked, and the sauce had a wonderful flavor. The fresh Parmesan cheese he had chosen added a special touch, and the cheese bread paired nicely with the meal. "Anna, this meal is fantastic," Alex praised as he took her hand. She quickly wiped her mouth and set down her napkin to hold his hand, nodding and placing her other hand on her heart. "Thank you," she silently said with a smile. After a moment, she held up a finger and went to the living room to grab the laptop. She pointed at the screen, and Alex began reading while Anna cleaned up their dishes at the sink. He thought about offering to help, but figured he knew the answer. "You seem quite relaxed over there. I was thinking about that comment earlier. Can I ask you a few questions? I'll be glad to answer too. I'm typing this out so you can read my answers, and then you can share yours. It will keep you occupied while I do the dishes." "I can do that," Alex replied, scrolling through the list. "I'll read them so you know which question I'm on. All right, first question. Do I smoke? No, never. Oh, your answer is right next to it. Got it. You've never smoked either. Next question. Alcohol. Yes, I do drink a beer when I go out with my friends. Should I tell you about them?" Anna nodded, smiling at the mention of his friends. He was looking forward to her introducing him to her friends too. "Well, my best friend is Brian Urbana. We've known each other since we were 10. I trust him more than anyone except my godfather, who is at the top of the list. Then there's Eric Thompson, Paulie Sutherland, and Terry Evans. Terry is the newest in our group. We usually go to games or hang out at a bar now and then." Anna paused her cleaning, turned her head, and looked at Alex, causing him to stop speaking as he noticed her attention. "Anna, what's wrong?" She dried her hands and walked over to the laptop to ask her question, typing just below her earlier note about drinks. She stepped back to see how he would react. He looked a bit worried. She seemed really shaken. But this is a big city. If she heard a name she recognized, what were the chances? He thought until he read what she had written. "My brother knows a guy named Terry Evans. He's a black man around 27 years old and wears a skull ring on his right hand." Wow, that was him. Yeah," Alex replied. "That's him. Why? Is something wrong?" Anna had been staring off into the corner. His last words brought her back to him. She leaned closer to the laptop and typed again. "I don't know. I just feel strange when he comes over. He looks at me differently since he started coming around more often. It's been about 3 weeks now. I remember because I was in my room trying to sleep through all the noise since I was sick with laryngitis." "Huh, what a coincidence," Alex said, shrugging. "Well, don't worry too much. I wouldn't introduce you to everyone all at once anyway. Brian and his girlfriend Caroline will probably be among the first people I'll introduce you to. And Dan, of course. Should I be worried about Terry? Do I need to keep an eye on him?" Anna thought for a long moment, as if recalling every moment she had witnessed, then finally shook her head. She returned to the laptop. "I guess not. I can't think of anything specific. It's just that he acts a bit odd and he hangs out with Javi, which makes me uneasy. I'm fine if I don't have to meet him. Sorry, I didn't expect him to be part of your group. Well, since we were getting together just because none of us had partners before, we probably won't meet up as much now that Brian has Caroline. I'd much rather spend my time with you. Now, about the drinks. I don't like hard liquor very often. It's just not for me. And I can imagine my mom being disappointed, but I've never liked the taste of wine. Anna looked over from where she was working and smiled. She pointed at herself and shook her head. You don't like it either? Alex asked. Well, I guess our wine cellar will be quite empty. Remind me to think of something else we could use that space for when we start looking for a house. Anna shook her head and laughed as she finished putting away the silverware and moved on to pots and pans. Okay, let's see. You said, oh, none? Is it because you don't want to or because you just haven't had the chance? Anna tapped her nose and pointed at him. Ah, well, my dear, I see some fun meals in our future where we can explore the drink menu. How do you know you don't like wine? Anna left the pot in the sink and walked over to dry her hands with a towel. She typed her reply, then went back to finish her chores. My mom loved wine. She used to say she would take me to vineyards when I was older. At parties, she would encourage me to try different wines to find ones I liked. Rieslings, Zinfandels, and Pinot Noir. There were so many kinds, I never found one that suited me. Did you ever tell her you didn't like it? Anna asked as she finished cleaning around the sink. She folded the towel and hung it up before returning to her work. She had already cleaned the stovetop, counters, and kitchen table. Then she sat down to watch him read her answer. Well, I was only 17 when they passed away. I hoped that maybe I would suddenly find a wine I enjoyed so I could join her on those vineyard trips she wanted to take. But that never happened. As for other drinks, I probably wouldn't like beer if it's like what my dad let me taste long ago, but I'd be willing to give it a shot. I think I'd really enjoy trying any mixed drinks with you wherever you'd like to go. It's the time together that I'm looking forward to, Mr. McLean, not just the drinks or the food. Alex laughed and looked at her, laughing harder when he noticed she was blushing. Not sure why you're blushing, Miss Lopez, but I have no complaints, he said. He stood up while still holding the laptop. Let's move to the couch to talk about the other questions. I had a few things, too. It'll be easier since you'll be right there. Anna followed Alex to the living room, and they went through the rest of her list. Have you ever shoplifted? She typed, then followed with, No, never. I'd end up getting caught. Yeah, that Catholic guilt is real, Alex agreed. I haven't either. I knew people who did, like that Winona Ryder person. Some did it just for excitement. I never understood why. Do you have your driver's license? She typed next. Her answer was, Yes, I grew up in the suburbs. I drove my mom's car when I wanted. Javi sold it when he decided we couldn't stay there. He kept saying, No one drives in Chicago. Ha! Tell that to all the cars and drivers in the city. My parents made sure I took driver's ed and got my license, but I don't own a car. I rent one when I need to for work or travel, but mostly I walk or take a cab. I know part of this answer, but have you flown? She typed next. I guess it makes sense that I haven't been on a plane since I asked about it. But I have traveled to different places. You answer first, and then we can talk more about it. Yes, I do fly for work when I need to, Alex said. Where? Well, it's not all the places you might think. I've traveled to Las Vegas, California, New York, and Florida for work meetings. I've also been to Georgia, Wisconsin, and Colorado to visit customers. Outside the country? I've been to Canada for work and to Europe like England, Germany, France, and Spain for a school trip. Alex looked at Anna and offered her the laptop, but she shook her head and pointed at the screen, asking him to scroll down. He chuckled at what he read first. I bet you already shared where you've flown to. I'll write about my adventures too. Wow, is it really midnight? I'm sure you went on and on about your travels. Sorry if I seemed bored or maybe even fell asleep. Alex laughed at the end of the paragraph, but then he gasped when he saw Anna laughing out loud at his funny faces while reading her message. Oh, I see. You really think I've just been bragging about my big trips because I have a lot of money, right? Sure, go ahead and stereotype me like everyone else. Well, here's the truth, Alex said playfully. I won't do all those things until you're doing them with me. So there. He turned away but heard her typing. Anna tapped his arm, but he kept looking away. She left the laptop open for him to see her new message before she got up and walked away. Alex smiled to himself and read what she wrote. I'm sorry. I realize now I wasn't fair. You've probably done more than I thought, and you did share where you've traveled and that you left the country in high school. I shouldn't have joked about it. I'd love to have adventures with you, not because I haven't had the chance. I'd do anything with you because I really care about you, Alex. You make me so happy. You're helping me reach my dreams, even the ones I didn't know I wanted. Alex smiled at her message before moving on to the next part, which seemed to have been answered before her last note. He appreciated how well she responded to her questions. Talking in person would have been nice, but he realized that these typed words were bringing them closer. He needed to slow down to really understand everything. She always gave him her full attention when he spoke. To answer your question, it's pretty simple. I've been to a few places nearby like Wisconsin Dells and Indianapolis, and even into Iowa. Going to Chicago felt like a real vacation to me. I've also made a long trip to Mexico to visit my mother's family and where she grew up. I was so young then that I can barely remember it. If I could choose my dream vacation, I'd want to stay in a cabin by a lake in Wisconsin, where I could enjoy both winter and summer activities. Of course, if a trip to Jamaica or Paris isn't an option. When Alex finished reading, he shook his head and went to the hall closet to get ready for their next adventure. First, he collected some bedding. He took 3 large blankets from the top shelf and spread them out on the floor in front of the fireplace. Then he went into his bedroom to grab a big comforter and their pillows. He tossed 4 more pillows onto the floor and finally lit the fireplace. When he turned back, Alex found Anna setting out cookies on a plate, with one cookie in the middle holding a candle. She placed it on the coffee table and returned to the kitchen to bring back 2 glasses of milk, adding them to the table with the cookies. With a bit of flair, Anna lit the candle, raised a finger to ask him to wait, and took out her phone to play a song. "Happy birthday to you," sang Marilyn Monroe slowly. "Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you." Anna stood in front of Alex, holding the plate for him to blow out the candle. She mouthed, "Make a wish," and smiled as she watched him closely. "It already came true, sweet girl," he said seriously before blowing out the candle. Anna didn't take her eyes off him. He took the plate from her and placed it on the table. "Thank you for this. I think I liked that version of the birthday song the most today, but watching you dance around in your pajamas to the Beatles is a close second." Anna smiled and blushed. "You really made this the best birthday I've ever had." Alex stepped aside and pointed at the fireplace. "We can enjoy the cookies and milk on the table as you set it up, but I'd really like to relax by the fire afterward. What do you think?" Anna moved around him and knelt to touch the blankets and pillows. She looked at the fire and then back at Alex, clearly surprised. It seemed like she really hadn't expected anything else, especially since he had managed to give her almost everything she had wished for 2 days before, except for the skiing. At some point, she would have to see that he wanted to share everything with her. When Anna got up, she turned to him and placed her hands on his chest. She shook her head but smiled at the same time. That was all Alex needed. "What?" he whispered. Anna gave a thumbs up and rested her forehead against his chest. "Do you like it? Besides skiing, which I promise I will make up to you another time, I think I covered everything else, right?" Anna nodded. "Come on. I want to make you smile just like you seem to want to make me smile." "Mission accomplished," he said, pretending to write a check mark in the air. "Check," he repeated with another check mark. Alex helped her sit next to him and then picked up a cookie. "Here goes." He took a bite and leaned back in his chair. "Oh, wow, Anna," he said with his mouth full. "These are amazing. I haven't had cookies like this in so long. They're just right." He turned to her and sighed. "You're amazing. I really care about you," he said, leaning in to give her a quick kiss. Before he pulled away, he dipped his finger in the warm chocolate of the cookie and playfully tapped Anna's nose. She had just taken a bite and made a surprised noise as she reached up to wipe it off. "Oh, that's just something else for later," he joked, making her cheeks turn pink as she covered her face and closed her eyes. "Come here," he said, giving her a silly kiss on her nose, which made her squirm away. They laughed and continued to enjoy the cookies, taking sips of milk to wash them down. Anna took the empty plate and glasses to the kitchen, leaving Alex alone for a moment. He took a picture of the cozy spot in front of the fireplace before getting up to sit there. Then he realized he was wearing too many clothes, so he jogged into the bedroom to change into shorts and a t-shirt. While there, He thought it was a good chance to use the bathroom, wondering what might happen next. Alex stepped out just as he saw Anna entering her small room. He let her have her privacy and went back to the living room, turning on some soft music and dimming the lights until the fireplace was the only light source. Romantic? He could manage that. He felt lucky to have someone to be romantic with. Thinking back on his past relationships, he realized that most of them hadn't meant much. Thankfully, he had never rushed into anything that he wasn't ready for. But it was when their true nature showed that he understood the problem clearly. He opened his eyes to the mistakes he would have made with each person he had walked away from. He felt relieved that he realized they all would have caused him regrets, and that was something he did not want in his life. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to Infidelity Plus to stay updated with more captivating tales of infidelity and payback. Turn on notifications so you're the first to see our latest content.